Episode 142 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Support the show at patreon.com/the Wilderness Podcast. Our supporter of the week is Charles Ratliff. We're also brought to you by Audible. Get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. Welcome to episode 142 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dilz, and joining with me again is Mr. Magpie.
Hey, what's good?
So this week, what we're going to talk about is finally that Bounty Hunter rework is being pushed forward. They have their design ideas, at the least, with a bunch of things to go along with it, including rewards. They're doing an overhaul of the whole system, and with that, the PvP integrity changes as well. Last Man Standing's back, and they have some more rewards to pitch, and we get some small tweaks to the game, and talks about some of the betas that are going to be coming up. For community news, the second player of Oldschool Runescape maxes his account with 200 mil experience across every single skill. And Magpie, you pointed this one out, but another quest might be in the works.
Oh, yeah.
So that's some pretty cool stuff. And last thing we're going to be talking about is an app for Oldschool RuneScape Mobile. Gets a cease and desist letter from Jagex. So that's some exciting stuff there. Before we get into all that stuff, though, Magpie, how was your week? Did you get a lot of raiding done?
I did do a fair amount of raiding, I would say. The usual. Couple drops, nothing major. Yesterday I got a Sang staff in a 3-way split.
Damn.
But I did a lot of account progression. I actually finished up that Master Clue. I finished my crafting grind. That wasn't too bad.
What did you need again? Oh, you needed 83.
Yeah, I needed to make like a light orb.
Right.
Make a light bulb.
The Dorgish
in Dorgish Khan.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I just used the pie boost. Pro tip, you can +4 boost with one of the newer pies, with the mushroom pie, instead of having to use a stew.
Right.
So that was really good. And then I started doing volcanic mine with a buddy of mine, actually.
Okay.
That is content. That is A1 stuff right there. It's actually super fun. It doesn't make me hate my life like fire making.
Oh, so you're being all serious?
Yeah. Well, not super serious.
I haven't done volcanic mine. Okay, let's break it down. What's the pros and cons?
Yeah, I thought you meant like the way we do it. No, we're not like super sweaty, but yeah, I am serious. It is pretty fun.
Oh, okay. I've heard people say it's like crazy AFK mining.
I would say there are a lot of AFK elements. It seems really daunting when you're setting out to do it, but once you get the hang of it, it's not as bad as it seems. There are a couple things that might trip you up when you're starting. Basically, you start and each person has their own role. It's almost like very PVM heavy. It's the more people you have, the more AFK it becomes, but also the more roles there are. The way it works is you're in this giant volcano, and your goal is to spend as much time mining the rock as possible, because that's what gives you the XP.
Okay.
But to do that, there are lots of things you have to do to keep the mine stability high enough so it doesn't collapse on you, because that's an insta death. So what you do is you go in.
Oh, okay.
And there are some vents you have to check. They tell you if the mine is stable or not. There's 3 of them. And then there's 3 places, one for each vent, where you have to like either block the air pressure by putting a rock on the chamber, or unblock the chamber by mining the rock that's on it to lower the air pressure. And this is like the simplified version. It really isn't that complicated once you get into it. But when you look at like a map on the wiki and you just see a bunch of random labels and stuff, it was pretty daunting. But once you get into it, it's like super chill. The way we do it is like casual, but we still like to go hard. When we do it with like a couple of our friends, we don't get as good XP rates because they're just kind of learning the ropes. They take longer to bank. But once you get into a groove with enough people, like you can churn out really, really good experience rates, which
Yeah?
it gives me hope because I thought I would never max because I can't stand motherload mine, but this is like, wow, I might actually do it. So, it is really fun. Super, super fun. And it's
Now, can you get decent like GP from it? Is there any reasonable rewards?
you get like 200K an hour, but honestly, it's the experience that's like really crazy. You get like 50K minimum, I would say, experience an hour.
Oh, wow.
And then
okay.
I've been averaging like 65K. My friend is a higher mining level because he has access to Runite ore. He gets like a significant XP bump from that, but also he just gets more points. He's more comfortable with it than I am, so he's faster in terms of getting through the lava and stuff. It's really fun content, and like it's nice to do with a lot of people. But the other thing is you can solo it. It's really chill, so you can just put some music on and have a conversation.
Is soloing easy? Is that like something that people would do? Or is it like Winter Todd where, I mean, you kind of can, but it's not many people do it?
I would say it's like Winter Todd. It's very similar to Winter Todd, yeah. Like, people can do it. I would say it's probably easier to solo than Winter Todd. But at the same time, like, the difference between a solo and a duo is still massive in terms of, like, how much you have to do. Because in a solo, you don't check all events. You kind of leave a couple. And I actually don't know if that changes anything in terms of the experience rates if you have like 3 events checked compared to 2. The best way to learn it is to just hop into it, die a couple of times.
Just dive right in. Now, is there like a world where you can get a bunch of people doing it? Similar to Winter Todd?
I think so. You know, I think there might be on the wiki. They have like their unofficial world. Did you hack it?
I don't hear too often of people actually doing it, but I know like a lot of people in the EHP community. No, I shouldn't say a lot of people. At least one person I've seen complaining about this on Twitter about how it's decent experience rates and it's pretty AFK. And so if you're in the EHP community, that's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
But besides that, I don't really hear too much about Volcanic Mine. I kind of forget it even exists.
It won't be better than like power mining iron, I don't think, or granite, but it's still fun. It's way more fun. You're not going to hate your life doing it. And it's like something you can
that's a big deal.
Do as a community event. The only thing is like a couple of the people we tried to run with didn't actually have the requirements to start it. So if you do want to like run it with a bunch of buddies, or if we decide to like make an impromptu event at some point with the Wild Boys, you need to have 150 museum kudos. The easiest way to check that is to see if you've done Vera cards, because you need at least 153 for that. But then you also need to rebuild the camp at Fossil Island. You need to have rebuilt, like, you know how you have to build the bank chest when you first get there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Once you build all of those, you can talk to Peter, who is like just washing clothes by the shore or something. And then he can let you start doing Volcanic Mine. I have no idea why that dude is responsible for Volcanic Mine, but
just the way it worked out.
Yeah. And then I actually did a lot. I was doing a bunch of master clues. I got a couple Slayer tasks. I did some Sire, which always sucks. Back to Gargoyles. Yeah. And then now I'm just cycling through tasks. Like I did a Demonics task this morning and stuff. But yesterday, or 2 days ago, I did a master clue, and I had my record lowest amount of loot, which was like 40K. And I was jokingly complaining, like, wow, I am so unlucky. I'm bound to get this Sherlock pet soon. I'm so close to a pet roll, and I remember saying this. I was like, I'm so close to a pet. I'm just going to go to Zulrah for one trip and get a pet. So I gear up for Zulrah, teleport in, fight the boss, get a smooth kill. First pet, it drops the mutagen.
Oh, shit.
First kill.
That's sick. I mean, it's not quite a pet. I mean, you would have preferred the pet, right?
I honestly don't mind, because the mutagen I had was the Tanzanite one, which is like, it's nice. It's a mutagen for sure.
The blue?
That's the blue one, but everyone wants the magma one. So
yes, it is pretty sick.
Like, I couldn't stop laughing. Like, I have a clip. If you want, I could like share it in achievements and stuff. But it's just
do it.
It's me laughing my head off and like just getting the mutagen and seeing it. But if I do, I'll have to like edit it a bit and like give people a headphone warning. It'll be like one of those old school YouTube videos, like follow the maze, and then it's like a jump scare.
Oh yeah.
But it was super funny. So that happened, and
that's pretty sweet. If you don't know, Zulrah, one of the bosses, he drops a helmet, the Serpentine helmet, but for some reason Jagex gave them like a recolor. And it's more than just a recolor though, because it changes the whole helmet, right?
Yeah, a little bit. There are like a little couple aesthetic tweaks, like the Tanzanite, you get horns from the back, and the magma, like,
sick.
I think it makes it a little flatter.
Okay, yeah. And they're like, what, 1 in 5,000 drop rate or something?
1 in 6,500 each, yeah.
6,500. Okay, so they're super rare, and yeah, they're just a recolor for a helmet. They don't really do too much else. It's but they look sweet.
Yeah, it's nice because I've always enjoyed the idea that the best, like, the most enticing rewards in the game should be on tradables. And that's the funny thing is when you do a lot of, PVM and stuff, you see somebody with a T-bow, you see somebody with a scythe, but then if they have like a fire cape, you just go up to them and say nice cape or nice booger helm.
Yeah.
If they don't have their Zulrah mutagen, and it can be toxic. And
yeah, that's true.
I've already had a couple people tell me to do some bad things, called me some mean names because that's both mutagens and under 2,000 kill count. So,
oh, that's crazy. Yeah,
it is super nice.
Yeah,
I could post this.
It's the way she goes sometimes. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah. Man, I am so dry. That's a joke.
Besides those two things, the rough thing is like sometimes if you're trying to make money off Zulrah, it can be like a kick in the nuts almost. Where it's like, yeah, those are sick, but can't do anything else besides wear them.
Yeah, I like Zulrah. It's actually really cool. I've like thought about this a couple times, but if you're trying to make money and you're slowly getting into like higher levels, it's funny because you consider Zulrah to be like a mid-game boss, and then you get Vorkath, which is like one step above Zulrah.
So is it?
Does that make
I get
sense?
What you're saying. Are you saying like this is how you see it, or this is like the community kind of sees it?
I think this is just a general thing. Like the money per hour and the requirements for Vorkath and stuff, they're all higher. But then what's ironic is that when you go one step above that, you have the mid-level players that are doing Zulrah. The higher level players go to do Vorkath. But then the higher level players go back to doing Zulrah. Because they're the ones chasing the mutagens, and they're the ones doing the T-bow method where they're AFKing Zulrah for money.
Yeah, that's true. Although I find Zulrah a lot tougher, but I guess I see what you mean where it's like the requirements to get to Vorkath. They're a lot more steep than Zulrah.
I like Zulrah a lot more. It's more mechanically engaging. Yeah. It's not a snooze fest. It's not Snorkath.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you there. I can not a huge fan of Vorkath.
Yeah, I wish like they tweaked Vorkath a little bit. Maybe even like added a couple mechanics in there. Because it is such a boring fight, and every time I get like a blue dragon task, I have to force myself to kill Vorkath. And I always end up like getting like 50 kills if I'm lucky, and then just saying screw it and just like cannoning blue dragons for the rest of the task.
Yeah, that's a tricky thing with just like I guess RuneScape bossing is like a lot of these bosses you're gonna kill hundreds of times. How can you make a boss like fun enough that you don't want to just end it all when you get the task? You know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't realize you were gonna go that far. God damn, dude.
I've been on this Calfight Queen task for like 2 months now, and I'll go on and do like 8 kills, and I'm like, can't do it. I'm done. I'm tapping out. and then I'm off to doing something else.
Is it like a boss task or just Cal fight?
I got the Cal fights, but I'm at 98 Slayer. I'm not in any rush to get 99, so I was like, I may as well just kill the Cal fight queen because I need the head for diaries, and I also, I want to go for all the pets eventually. That's it's a big goal there, but that's, I'm a bit of a completionist. So kind of like what you're saying, like, I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before, or maybe it was the Ramble one, when you're talking about your pets and how you have like a tier list of which ones you want to go for.
Yeah.
Similar idea, but I'm like, if I get the task, I may as well, try to get the pet anyways. But then I'm like, oh, this is so boring. It's
the way I see it is like, if you are going to burn yourself out on doing the Cal fight queen so much, I would honestly just like kill as many as you can, and once you literally do not feel motivated to even play the game because you have the task, just go and cannon the babies, like the workers, the level 28s in the cave with an expeditious bracelet, and just go finish that task as quickly as possible and get another task, and hopefully it's another boss task, and that way you're still like bossing, you're still working towards another pet, if it's like a gargoyle boss, or if it's, I don't know, like smoke devils or something. Mm-hmm. Because at this rate, like, you're not really progressing, you're not enjoying it, you're not looking forward to it. So
yeah, and then Cal fight's a weird one.
Yeah. It's
the boss itself, it's not that tough, but you only get like, 3 or 4 kills tops. Sometimes I only get 1 kill, depending on how much they hit you. But also the fact that you just got to take, it's like it's a solid 2-minute run. Maybe not 2 minutes, but it's a bit of a trek.
My advice, if you have the spare change for it, is to look up like how to do it with a Sanguinesti staff.
You can do that?
Hopefully you can like extend your trips. There are 2 ways generally of doing it. I just rushed through the fights. Like, I would go in and just venge myself and try and kill it as fast as possible. And I only got like 2 or 3 kills a trip. But the kills were, they're so fast that I was like always in motion. But the other thing you could do is like get a looting bag and suicide with a bunch of supplies, and then get a Sanguinesti.
Oh
and
shit,
then
that's
constantly
so smart.
That way you can like you heal up as many times as possible. There's like a specific method to do it as well, but
interesting.
I really don't care about the Cal fight queen enough to give it a shot.
Yeah, the thing is, I want to get the diary done as well, so I'm like, I'll get some kills here and there whenever I'm like, if I like today, I'll hop on, I'm like, I'll do like 10 kills and then jump off again. It's gonna take me another month to actually beat the task, but I have so many side goals I'm working on anyways. I'm not too bothered by it. It's just taking me forever to do this one task.
Yeah, and then lastly, and this is something we were talking about last week, I am starting to work towards becoming a official like Theater of Blood teacher.
Oh,
a Sherpa, as you would call it.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, a mentor. So that should be pretty fun. I'll be trialing out, giving that a shot, and hopefully reporting back next week and saying, I'm confident enough in my teaching ability to just like start doing learners properly.
Yeah, that's really cool. I messaged you once to do a raid, but you said you were gearing up to. You were like testing someone else to see if they were ready to be a raid guide or like a Sherpa or a teacher.
Oh yeah, a trial.
Yeah, what can you explain that? What is that exactly? What does that consist of?
Yeah, so if you're part
Are you allowed to, or is this like breaching some contract?
I don't think this is top secret info now. If you're a part of We Do Raids, you might know there are mentors in there. Those are all guys that generally there's a Discord called We Do Raids for anybody looking to get into raids. It's not really, I try not to shamelessly plug it, but it's a good community, and you brought it up, so there goes my free pass.
No, it's great if you want to get into raiding and you don't maybe you don't have people to do it with, or maybe you're in the CC and it's sometimes you can't always find people to do it with. But that one will throw you in, right? It's like matchmaking almost, right?
Exactly. And generally that's what you do. You go in there and you can assign yourself a role based on how experienced you are. and then you can pair up with people who have like similar roles, or maybe you have somebody who doesn't mind bringing in lower kill counts. But then there are also people in there, if you notice, who are mentors. And those are the guys you can trust to be knowledgeable, who know what they're doing, who know like all the best practices, who will be able to tell you basically how to run the raid in the most effective way possible. And all those people have gone through like a process where they're tested on every room. It's almost like, it's not as serious, obviously, as like doing exams and stuff, but you have to like prepare for them. Like when you go raiding with your buddies, I did this as well when I was trialing. I would practice my calls, and then I would ask people to trial me. And basically what that means is now, like, let's say you wanted to apply and you did the right steps in the process, and then you wanted me to trial you. You would, we would get a learner raid set up. We'd find some learners, and then I would take the back seat, and I would just, while we're raiding, I'd be taking notes. Are you confident about like your ability to teach the room? Do you know all the stuff required? Like, do you know how to get past Tecton? Do you know what attack style, what weapon you should use? Are you able to make the right call outs? Can you tell people to dodge stuff? And if they have questions, can you answer them about each room? And then most importantly, can you do it in a way that's fun and where everyone enjoys themselves and like creates a positive environment? And everyone has like their own trialing process. So every mentor you see has gone through that process. So you can like trust them to at least know what they're talking about and give good advice, because that's why they've been giving that rank. So now I'm going through that process with Theater of Blood. So it should be pretty fun.
That's kind of cool. I like that. It's is it a bit, are you a bit nervous when you're going through it?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I was gonna say, is it like doing your driving test? That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, 100%. And you like mess up on simple stuff. Like you just like forget to do the fundamentals sometimes because you're so nervous. Like I forgot to bring water strikes into one of my trials. That was really bad.
Oh no,
that was really, really bad. But we got bailed out.
But you can do as many as you want, right? It's not like you trial and then it's like, okay, you're come back in a couple months.
Well, it's like, it's not like it's a hard pass or fail, but you can do as many as you want as long as you're showing like consistent progress, and not even like in terms of improving, but just that you're making consistent efforts to improve. So if you like trial once and then go for 2 months without even trying to trial, or without giving anybody an update as to what you're up to, if you're not showing that you're actually wanting to learn, because at the end of the day, like when you trial, people are taking their time out to come by, set up a learner, and then like learner raids take way longer than normal raids. But on top of that, there's a period afterwards where you have to like give feedback and stuff. So it is a big ask, but most people enjoy it, or they don't mind doing it because they know that the people trialing are like committed. So it's kind of a two-way road kind of thing, where like you have to appreciate that other people are putting their time in to help you become better at doing learner raids and stuff. And that's why I did it. That's because I like teaching raids in my spare time. And I went in and I joined, and I'm glad I did, because there were a couple of things that I realized like, wow, I should have been doing this differently and stuff. And there are other things where I say, okay, I can see why they do it this way, but in terms of my own raids, I'm like, I don't mind doing it another way or explaining it another way, blah, 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 just because maybe we have less people in the raid or whatever. I was going to say something else, actually, but I lost track. So
yeah, no. Oh, you forgot. Shit. That sounds really cool, though. You're getting me kind of interested in checking it out, but
yeah. It is. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It is like a big ask. Like, that's why the mentors, that if you are trying to learn a raid and you get with a mentor, like they pull you in to do a learner raid, like you should know to trust them, because I used to go into my learner raids saying, oh, it's fine if you die. It's fine if people die in the raid. Like, you go in with the expectation that somebody who doesn't know anything about raiding will die every time.
Sure.
But then I realized, like, no, there are things you can do. There are steps you can take to where if someone dies in one of my learner raids, I'm upset with myself unless I know that I couldn't have helped it at all.
Are you talking even in with Ulm? You saying? Or
Yeah,
is it just
yeah. Oh, of course. If they die before Ulm, then that's a massive, massive mess up on my part in 99% of the rooms. Like Vespula, you should be able to do. Vanguards is my favorite room to teach. And once you get to Ulm, there are times where it's like a really unfortunate death, or you just get like a really unlucky combo of things, or he like throws crystals at the thumb, and then
yeah,
you're like, oh god, okay, everybody scatter, but don't really scatter. Stay together as you're scattering. But you know, it's like really hard to call in the moment. But that's the kind of thing you have to prepare for and stuff. But most of the time, as long as you don't have somebody get comboed out like that, you should generally have the expectation that nobody should die.
Okay.
So
it's kind of, yeah, that sounds, I mean, I know, especially if I'm bringing someone new to a raid, I always do you're probably going to die. Don't feel bad if you die, because it's going to,
yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah. And then if people go and try to learn raids by themselves, which I always encourage people to do, like getting somebody who's way more experienced is always nice because they can answer your questions, give you advice and stuff. But then after that, it's up to you to go in by yourself and then die a billion times. It's the same thing with Theater of Blood, where for Theater of Blood, even to be able to like get to the stage where you have higher level or higher experienced people helping you, you have to at least go to the free-for-all worlds or go with other learners and just show that you get to the final fight. If you can get to Verzik, that's generally like a minimum baseline.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to at least do that and stuff. So the only way to do it, and we encourage everyone, like regardless, in my Discord, like if you want to do Theater of Blood, it's great if you run with us, but you have to like at some point go in by yourself. It's okay if you die. It's okay if you wipe. Just go in and throw yourself at it until it's not as nerve-wracking, and until you start to see the patterns and you figure it out a little bit more.
Yeah, and you'll learn a lot that way too, because I know I was taking a couple people on their first couple of raids, and then it was like 3 people, and then I was the one who was like leading them. They were like only in the low, like the 3-4 KC or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually the 3 of them decided to go to do a raid where I wasn't there. And they said, like, shit, it was a lot more tough because I wasn't there to like call out everything, but also they were able to learn so much more because they kind of like dived right in. Yeah.
That's always great. Like, that's what you want to do, is you want to show them like, this is how it's supposed to go. It's supposed to go like roughly as smooth as the one we did together went. But then after that, like, it comes down to you guys doing it by yourselves and struggling and getting through it.
Cool stuff.
So yeah, I did a lot of raids 2. I did a lot of raids 1. And then the joke with my friends now is that we're doing raids 3, which is Volcanic Mine. So we're on that content now. That is fun stuff, dude. I'm serious. We should hop into Volcanic Mine a couple times because it is.
You know, I'll try it. I've never tried it before, and yeah, I'm not opposed to trying new content. Oh, new for me.
It is still pretty new though, and that's the thing is like, you think Fossil Island is super dead, but like there's actually a viable mining training method there. There's a viable prayer training method. You have a couple of Slayer tasks that you can do there.
Yeah, there's the Ammonite crabs, which are great for
exactly
replacing sand crabs.
Birdhouses,
which I did for the first time today, actually.
The first ever time?
I haven't even actually, I just placed the birdhouses. I haven't even gone to collect them yet.
Oh, nice.
So I might do that after this, after we're done recording. But only because, like, I guess Hunter's not even that, like, I don't mind training it when I have to, but I haven't trained it in like 4 years. And it's my lowest skill at level 74. And it kind of sucks that whenever I do Tears of Gothics, it goes into Hunter and not Agility.
I was just going to say Hunter and Agility are like those two really awkward skills where they're not AFK. You have to keep clicking, but it's not like engaging enough. Like with Hunter, you're not making too much money unless you're risking in the wilderness, and then it becomes too stressful. But then like you're not getting crazy experience rates like Blast Mine, for example, where it's like, yes, it's really engaging, but it's so fast that you're like rewarded and you feel achievement.
Yeah. Like they do have the monkeys after Monkey Madness 2, which are kind of AFK, and I think you get like 50k experience an hour or something. But I'd rather my Tears of Gothics go into agility. And I was like, you know what? I may as well just get the birdhouses going, because sometimes I'm like on mobile and, you know, I don't want to AFK something, but I don't like to do anything too focus heavy. Maybe I only have like 20 minutes. It's nice to do like a herb run or something. Now I could do a birdhouse run if I need to.
Welcome to your new hell. Your life will, if you like get really into birdhouses, your life will now revolve into 50-minute intervals of just constant. You'll be stopping
every 50 minutes.
Yeah, because you can check them every hour or so. So,
oh boy, here we go.
Oh yeah, but I was going to actually post a video in our Discord because birdhouses are like farming, and it's really daunting to get into. But once you get into it, like it's all about setting it up that first time. Just like farming, the first time you go to a patch, you have to rake everything. You get no rewards. You don't realize why it's worth doing, etc. And you like miss out on all the rewards. So I know birdhouses get really daunting. Do you want to go over like how you do birdhouses and stuff?
Yeah, that's a good call, because maybe someone was in my shoes and maybe they don't even know any birdhouses exist. So, but you've been doing them for a while, right?
I've been doing them for a few months, yeah.
Yeah, so I've just put down some birdhouses, but so from what I know, there's 4 spots to place your birdhouses. You can buy the birdhouses off the GE. You need a hammer, chisel, and saw. That's what the wiki told me. And you need 10 seeds or 5 of a higher tier seed. What seeds do you use?
I use barley.
Any reason why?
I just have a massive stack, and I merged them once.
Nice. Okay, so I bought Wild Bloods.
Okay.
No reason in particular. They're cheap.
Yeah, I think so barley was like 2 GP each for me.
Oh, okay, that's a lot cheaper, but still Wild Bloods were pretty cheap. And then I placed the 4 birdhouses down. So yeah, you're gonna know more than I do. What else? What more is there to it?
That's pretty much it. I would say to do birdhouses, to get into them, what you'll want to do is get a dig site pendant, which is an enchanted ruby necklace. It's untradeable, and the way to get it is by going to the Varrock Museum, searching the finds in that little area where you have to basically, it's really slow and annoying, but you basically find some random stone artifact, you chisel, and like you clean it. Sometimes you'll come across something like interesting.
It sucks to do, but I think they've made it a little bit easier with quality of life tweaks.
Yeah, they definitely have. And all you have to do is find that one ruby necklace the one time. I say you find something interesting. This is all relative. It's actually boring as hell. But okay. In the game, your character's like, wow, this is interesting. And you're like, yeah, kill me. This has been a dark episode so far. But you find the ruby necklace.
Been a rough week.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. But you find the ruby necklace, and then you show it to some person. Your guy goes, what's this? And the dude goes, it's a necklace. And your guy goes, yeah, nice job. But then after that, like, he teaches you the incantation after you give him that sarcasm. He tells you how to enchant it to teleport, and then you can use it to teleport to the dig site. And then after you go to the fossil island, if you go to the house on the hill, there's a place where you can use your dig site pendant in one of the areas, and it unlocks a teleport to Fossil Island, which is really useful because it's next to one of the magic trees.
Right, the mushrooms.
Which is the mush trees or whatever. And then you use those to get around Fossil Island. And once you unlock those, birdhouses become very easy to do. They become 60-second, like, start to finish runs. So that's all basically. You covered everything except I felt like it's worth adding dig site pendant in there because if you don't have that, it's going to be super slow otherwise.
Now, when you're going to refresh your birdhouses, Do you need to bring logs? Is that what I was reading?
What I do is I make like 100 birdhouses at a time. You can buy them off the GE, but I don't mind making them, and it like passively trains your crafting. So I just grab, I do magic birdhouses at the moment. So I bought 100 clockworks. When you go to search your birdhouse, you get the clockwork back from the birdhouse. Like you said, you need a hammer and chisel. You use the clockwork on, let's say for me, magic logs in my inventory, and that makes one birdhouse. You put the birdhouse down. When you search it, you get the bird's nest, you get the hunter experience, and then you also get your clockwork back. You don't get the logs. So all you need is like a set of 100 clockwork in the bank, and then you constantly basically make 100 birdhouses. Every time you do that, every 100, it basically recycles your clockwork. So you're just buying logs over and over again.
Oh.
Oh yeah, dude.
What do you need to make the birdhouses? Can you do it in your own, like, in your inventory?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So you get a hammer, chisel, 13 clockworks, 13 logs of whatever birdhouse type you're trying to make. So for you, if you're making U logs, it'll probably be cheaper than buying it off the GE as well. So you just 13 clockwork, 13 U logs, hammer and chisel. You make them, deposit the 13 birdhouses that you made in the bank, rinse and repeat. I just make that like 8 times. I'll have 100 or so. And then boom, I'm done. I'm done for like the next couple weeks.
Nice. Cool. Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to have to try that out, get that hunter up so I can finally get my Tears of Gothics back into agility.
That was pretty much my week though. And you started to talk about your week, so what else have you been up to?
So not a whole lot. I was thinking because like I feel like I've done a lot. I mean, I say this so often, but I feel like I've done a lot this week and I can't think about exactly what it was. And it wasn't so much that I've been playing a lot. It's just that I've been wanting to play because I was working all last week. I was covering reception at the job I work part-time at. And reception's super chill. So I'd play a bit of, it's not chill enough that you can play RuneScape, but I was just on the subreddit and looking through the wiki, just like looking at random shit.
Yeah.
And so I haven't done I don't think I've done too much on my main. I've been doing some smithing. I'm at 87 smithing. Do that passively, like when I'm doing other things. Yeah, a few raids, some Calphite Queen, nothing too crazy. On my pier, I'm almost at 76 fishing, so I can almost fish sharks. I'm just AFK fishing on my pier because I'm hoping I want to get it to a point where I can make a decent amount of money on my pier that can pay for bonds for either my pure account or for my main account.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Fishing's slow. That's the problem. More on that in the future.
Hell yeah.
And then besides that, I've been playing the hardcore Iron Man that I only play on PvP Worlds. That's something I only do when I stream the game. That's been a lot of fun. I got all the quests done except for Elvarg, which is what I'm grinding towards now. And what
combat stats are you gonna go in with?
I want to get the gear. So when I was covering reception, this is what I was also doing. But for that account, the way I want to do it, I did it for the quests because I want to learn all about the lore behind a lot of the quests. And the wiki has a fair bit of information, but I don't think I'm not sure if it has everything. I doubt it does, but that's why I wanted to do the quest and actually read the dialogue this time. And it's been a lot of fun. I got all the free-to-play quests done except for Elvarg, and they were all super enjoyable. So the grinding part is actually the least amount of fun I've been having. But yeah, I don't know if I want to go into it with certain stats, but base 40s for the most part, because I want to have like close to full rune. I want to have like rune full helmet, chain, some sort of shield, some sort of weapon, plate legs, because I guess that's it. But after I beat Elvarg, I'm going to make the account a member, and then I'm just going to play through the members quests. And when I was on reception at work, I was making a whole list because on the wiki they have all the quests in what series they're all in, as in like there's one called the Temple Knight series, which is I think was it Wanted? Oh, fuck, I can't remember what the Initiate quest, where you get the Initiate, and then the Sea Slug quest, and the second Slug Menace quest. Like there's like 4 quests that are involved in that. And it's basically about like the White Knights, the White Knights storyline. So they have how most of the quests in the game are put in their own little series. And so I spent like the week making the list and putting the requirements for each series and then combining different series because it didn't really make sense. And what I want to do is with the Hardcore Iron Man is do a quest, go from quest line to quest line. Like I want to complete a whole series and then move on to the next series.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think we talked about it a couple times. You're saying it kind of made sense. I was going to ask, are you saying it kind of makes sense to do a specific order? Well,
I'm trying to figure out if it's even possible to do a specific order because, like there's the Zeros quest series, which ends with Desert Treasure. But in order to do Desert Treasure, you have to like have started quests from another series, like, I don't know, Elemental Workshop quest series. So there's like a lot that kind of you have to complete other quests first. I'm trying to think like, is there a way to go from one to the other? So that's what I've been building, trying to build like a storyline where I can like go from quest series to quest series to quest series and see if that would work. So that's the plan, what I plan to do with the account. And I want to do it with as minimal stat grinds as possible. So on my so now that he's free to play and he is doing a stat grind to defeat Elvarg, I want to make this like the only stat grind if possible, or a stat/gear grind, and then from there hopefully have it like self-sufficient. If that makes sense.
Does that mean you're gonna go for like Song of the Elves to be last, like absolutely last?
Yeah, or like Dragon Slayer 2, or probably like one of those 2 quests. Probably Dragon Slayer 2, because I think that one might be a bit. Well, no, I don't know. I'm not too sure. One of those 2 quests, though.
Nice. Yeah, those are the 2 big ones, I would say. Song of the Elves is the most recent. Personally, like, maybe make it some really random, abstract, super intellectual thing. Like, make your last quest Zogre Flesh Eaters or whatever. Oh, wait, that's needed for a quest, isn't it?
Oh, well, it might be, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Like some lesser quest, like Soul's Bane or something?
Exactly, yeah. One of the quests that's like totally random and independent from every other quest, and you're like wondering why it's... Make it like X marks the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, all these plans I have for the account, I have the Hardcore Iron Man status right now. Once I lose it, then it's like, okay, and I can be a little bit more free with the requirements. Or... Like, I say Dragon Slayer 2 as the last quest because I'm like, well, if I die... I don't want to lose the Hardcore Iron Man status, but if I already lose it beforehand, I'm like, fuck, I'll just keep trying, then it doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah.
But, we'll see.
That's the best way, I think, to approach, like, a hardcore status. Just if you lose it, if he dies kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
nice.
I think that was my week in a nutshell. Not a whole lot, but hopefully more. Anyways, we got some fun stuff to talk about this week, so I guess we can hop right into the news.
Let's do it up.
Magpie is going to read the news because I fucking just am terrible at reading words on anything. So, Magpie, take it away. Just so people aren't confused.
I'm terrible at reading emotions, so.
Perfect.
Okay, but in all seriousness, the Bounty Hunter rework. So the long-awaited design for the Bounty Hunter rework is finally here. I don't know who the hell was waiting for this. Literally nobody has been waiting for this, but okay, Jagex.
Mardarchi has.
Okay, so there we go. One person has been long awaiting this design. Each of these aspects that they're coming out with were designed with 3 aims in mind: to make the minigame more rewarding, more exciting to play, and more attractive to both experienced PKers and beginners to PvP. So far, so good. And they ask for any kind of feedback. It will be crucial to them to progress through the rest of the updates that they have in the rework in general. So the update comes out with a bunch of different things that they're trying to promote. The point system. The top piece of feedback on Bounty Hunter was that it was not rewarding enough to play. And
it's true.
They say this prompted a redesign of how players get rewards and the system for determining how much or what they should be getting. And so to address this, they propose an overhaul of the point system used to purchase items from the shop. So basically, they give a quick breakdown of how points will be given. Anyone who kills their bounty hunter target receives 1 point. If you have a 3 kill streak, a kill streak of 3 or more, you get double points. And if you have a kill streak of 10 or more, you get triple points. And a kill streak ends when you are killed by any player, log out, or skip a target, though they mentioned there are some exceptions that they will be handling right now, actually. You can skip a target without losing your kill streak if they're in a multi-combat area, or if you've been matched with your target for over 10 minutes, or if your target does not have a mysterious emblem of the same or higher tier as you in their inventory. They say more on mysterious emblems later. Thank God for that, we're holding our breath. These are intended, they mentioned, to prevent griefing. I shouldn't be so cynical about this. I'm sure there are people who are interested in Bounty Hunter.
Well, I'll be honest. It sounds cool because like Bounty Hunter right now, it's okay. But as you can see in PvP worlds, people are like, we'll just go to PvP worlds. It's, yeah. And it's, I guess the problem that we had before when mysterious emblems weren't even tradable is that people would just end up killing each other just for like farming mysterious emblems off of it, when Bounty Hunter was supposed to be a way to like reward PvPers sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And then anyways, they made it tradable so that PVMers were like, well, I'll just pay someone to let me kill them.
Yeah, it kind of defeated the purpose.
But I like the idea of kill streaks. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and speaking of PVM, they actually have said that like Slayer points, you have a bunch of milestones. So just like in Slayer, when you do your 10th task or whatever, every 10th, 50th, 100th, 250th, and 1000th kill, you get bonus points awarded for each one.
Cool.
And there's a little table where they break down the bonuses. And then it moves on to player bounties. As an additional challenge, players may complete tasks to receive an immediate 10 points. I think they've been going back and forth about this for like at least a good year or so, because they've been talking about this for a while.
It was on 2 Runefest that they did bring it up, but I get where it's like it's tricky because especially with PvP, they bring out these ideas and they already know they're kind of the polls are at a disadvantage because a bunch of PVMers are going to vote no. So it's already tricky enough. So they have to make sure it's pretty good.
Yeah. And they come up with a couple of ones here. They say these challenges will add variety and extra level of challenge. Nice. They'll appear in the chat box and will be different from player to player, and they'll change automatically every 30 minutes. And if you don't wish to complete the current bounty, it can be skipped immediately for up to 3 times per day. And they give a couple of examples. Get 2 kills without leaving the wilderness, trading, or picking up items from the ground.
Damn.
Kill an opponent using ranged or melee or magic on the last hit. That's like dependent on the task. It's not any of the 3 because kill an opponent while risking 250k in coins or plat tokens only. And that's I think that's a good like foresight moment for them.
Yeah.
Kill an opponent without using any prayers. That's interesting. Kill an opponent without using a special attack. Kill your opponent without using protect item. And kill your opponent without any stat boosts. What do you think about those, actually?
They're very cool. I mean, they're tricky. The reward has to be, I would imagine, like I don't know, like the points, the 10 points you get from it needs to be. Is that even worth it? Aside from like some streamers or YouTubers, I don't know if I could imagine people messing with this. Like, get 2 kills without leaving the wilderness, trading, or picking up items off the ground. Like, are you gonna kill someone and then immediately try to kill someone before the first person you killed their item spawn?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe for pures, because some pures they don't really drop anything, so that's not so bad. Like kill an opponent while risking 250k GP. Not a big deal, but kill an opponent without using prayers, special attack, or stat boosts. Like, oh shit, come on, that's I don't know. Unless the person you're facing it is doing the same thing, right? I don't know. It's a cool idea and I love it. I just want it to be worth it.
Yeah, and they say these differ from player to player, But can I ask you, what was the last time you did free-to-play PKing?
Well,
I'll take questions that I have no recollection of for 10 points, Alex.
Well, I mean, I did like a week ago. To be honest, I did a bit of free-to-play PKing because when I was playing or maybe it was like 2 weeks ago, but on the Hardcore Iron Man, since it's only in PvP worlds and free-to-play, I see a lot of the action going down, and I was like, that looks kind of fun. I want to participate. And then I immediately got killed on my main account. But I did go out there and I engaged in PvP action.
The reason why I'm asking is because I think Jagex don't understand how mundane or how tedious some of these tasks are. Like killing an opponent without using any special attacks for the PvP meta that we have now, which is so reliant on really strong spec weapons, like that's going to take forever. That's basically just going to be a supply fest.
It does give you a chance to bust out like Darox to KO someone, or like the Elder Maul.
Yeah,
that's all I can think of actually. Or again, if you're an obby mauler, then boom, that you don't even spec as it is. I guess you do with that bone dagger thing.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm saying that is because for the most part, I mean, even using Darox, people will just. The thing with Darox is you combine it with like different fast hitting weapons.
Oh yeah, like a G-Maul or something.
Yeah, so that before the person fighting you knows it, they're already within the unsafe threshold for your Darox to KO them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you don't have any special attacks, or for example, without any stat boosts and stuff, these fights are going to take so long. I feel like they're going to be more tedious than anything, especially like no stat boosts, no prayers would be fine because, well, actually, now that I think about it, because these differ from player to player, can you imagine going into a PvP fight where you're matched with someone of your level and you're not allowed to even use overheads?
Yeah, that's the tricky part is and even if you're like in Bounty Hunter, the only overheads a lot of people will use is Smite. And even then, people will be like, "Smite's off, please." So that's not a big deal. But like, still, if one person's like, "Well, I'm not doing, fuck the tasks. I suck at this." So they're like, "I'm going to pray, piety or whatever," and then you're not able to use piety. That can be pretty big. It's not like major, but it's enough to be like, man, this guy's really whacking me, and I can't figure out why I'm not hitting him. His prayers, my prayers aren't on.
Exactly, yeah. And that's what I was thinking is because they keep saying, no, they've said it once, but I keep trying to go back to the whole tasks will differ from player to player. Let's say you and I try to hop in day one for these new, the Bounty Hunter rework, and I'm worried that this is going to be an RNG fest because let's say we both roll a specific bounty. You roll, kill an opponent without using any prayers, and I get kill an opponent while risking 250 GP. That basically means that I give up an inventory slot for 250k. That's all the penalty I'm taking. Whereas for you, you're already fighting an uphill battle because I can catch a freeze on you. You're not praying mage. You're not praying piety. So I know your max hit's way lower than mine. You're not praying rigor or augury. And then you can't smite me if you do get the upper hand. You can't, again, no overheads is going to be massive. So generally that's a free kill for me just because I rolled a good bounty. And then you're either going to have to forgo that extra 10 points or get really lucky or just really, really outplay me, which, to be fair, is probably pretty easy. But killing an opponent using ranged melee magic on the last hit versus killing an opponent without any stat boosts. Again, how difficult is it going to be considering most people are tri-bred anyway? Most people just casually PvP.
See, I'm assuming these bounties is going to be the same way the Bounty Hunter is now, where it's stuck in one world, and most of the people who you see out there are they're not going to be tri-breeding. They're just hybrid tops. Most people aren't, because the thing is if you go into the Bounty Hunter world now, if you bust out mage to mage someone, they're just going to teleport instantly. So fuck this, I'm not doing this shit. Most of the time it's people in just melee gear, or maybe they'll be ranged with a melee switch.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm picturing it to be, I could be wrong. Maybe the Tribe community will want to go out there. But I see good thing is like, this is all, you don't have to do the player bounties. This is all up to you to do it, to decide if you want to do it. And if you got the risking 250k GP, you're like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna, I don't know. I'm not gonna bring it out maybe. Or like the prayer one, you're like, well, I'm just I'll keep PKing and maybe I'll find a fight where I feel more comfortable not throwing on the prayers.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I might even devolve into something where it's like, hey guys, I have this bounty. Who else has this bounty? And then somehow not getting scammed.
Yeah. I don't want to linger too much on this because there's still a couple more points. The rest of them are pretty small, but it is worth saying that, like you said, players who are new to Bounty Hunter, it is not expected that these new players will complete the tasks because they're not compulsory. They're just an extra incentive. But then the funny part is that little fine print they add, which is that technical limitations, engine work meme, prevent us from giving out tasks based on specific equipment being used. Which is funny because at RuneFest, the entire basis of this player bounty system was their idea of get someone down low enough, and the task you have is finish someone off with a DDS.
Yeah, DDS or something. Yeah. That's I mean, they might do some work on the engine eventually and get there, but so I love this idea. I just hope the 10 points is enough points to make it people worth, well, I am gonna risk not using any potions to stat boost, because that 10 points, that's a big deal.
And it's interesting you're mentioning that because here come the point system rewards, the Bounty Hunter store, bounty crates and items.
Sweet.
So here's a chance for us to dive into the actual value of each point. The existing Bounty Hunter shop faces a number of issues. Jagex wrote that, but let's just say we both agree.
Yeah.
Players are not motivated to buy supplies from the shop because it's more profitable to buy the items which give the best GP per point.
Yes.
Which makes the majority of the shop redundant and unexciting, if you notice a pattern. We propose, I need to stop trashing Bounty Hunter, but we propose a new shop that sells crates containing supplies and the chance for unique loot. This shop would also sell cosmetic rewards and new supplies, and the points earned from the point system would serve as currency for this shop. So these crates are where players will make the most profit in the new system. They say these crates aim to serve as consistent GP income, and they have a chance to offer big rewards. Each crate costs 5 points, and they would, on average, be worth 100k each. So that means each point, according to Jagex, is roughly 20k each. So going back to the quick player bounty, if we were talking about how worth it is it, you're basically getting 200k roughly as a reward if each point is worth 20k and they give 10 points each.
Okay, so I think this is all, they're just pitching it. It's all subject to change at any point. I think what we will see happen is maybe specific tasks being weighed differently, maybe. I don't know. So I'm sure there's going to be, I don't want it to be like Chambers of Xeric where people are like not scouting, but oh, we got this one, you may as well skip it.
Yeah. I see what you mean. And what's funny actually is that I just realized this. They say 100k on average for supplies and loot. Is that specifically the non-uniques? Or is that when you go on the wiki, for example, and for Zora, it says for the drop rates on top, the average Zora kill is worth, I think for Zora it's 120k. But that's factoring in uniques, right? The average Vorkath kill, I think, is 170k.
Sure.
Or something. But that factors in uniques. So is this just your regular drop table? Because they also mentioned that there's a unique loot table, which I think is probably best if I go over it real quick. An upgrade for the Sarah sword. This item would reduce the sword's special attack energy to 60% and deal magic-based damage. So I've seen a couple of precedents. Yeah. That could turn it into a nice PK weapon.
Because they do have it now with the Ceradomin Blessed Sword, I think it's called. When you get the tier of Ceradomin, which is what, like 5 mil?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. 6 mil. And yeah, the Ceradomin spec, I think it's still 100%, but it does a fair bit of damage. What's cool, it's like a melee weapon, but it deals magic-based damage. I think it's like a mixture.
Hang on a second. I missed this the first time. Did you read this? Another unique they're proposing is all ancient warriors' weapons.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
That's like the 12th time they've tried to sneak them in there. It's literally just like snuck into the bounty hunter crates section. It's not even in the items section. These would work in PvP only, and Vesta's longsword would have a special attack costing 50% rather than 25%. Wow.
So I read that and I was like, when they first talked about bringing out the PvP armors, that was my reaction. But for some reason, I didn't feel as strongly with it when I read. I was like, the weapons. I was like, weapons. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I feel negative about that or not.
Yeah.
It's hard to say because, like, I think with this one I just don't know enough. Whereas with the gear, like the armors and stuff, when you add it all together, you're like, oh, this is major. But if it was just the weapons, is that a huge? Like, what does that do?
Well, I think it gives a massive change to the PvP meta. And they mentioned these weapons would work only in PvP areas of the game.
Because there was something that I kind of liked. I think it was it Vesta's spear or this or that spear that creates like a wall.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of cool, and it didn't seem overpowered enough that I was like, oh shit, this could like one hit people. That one was more of like a I don't know. God, I can't even think of. You would only use it in unique situations. I don't know though. That could be bad for PvP in the sense that like, oh, like now, I honestly I have no idea. I like the Vesta's javelin, Morgan's javelins, because it did like damage over time, which was pretty cool, I thought, and it didn't seem too strong. But like the Vest, let me look it up real quick. But the Vesta's longsword in particular, I think that's a very strong one.
it is. That's the one that everybody looks for in Deadman mode because its special attack is so disgustingly powerful, but also because it's a really, really strong weapon in general to use. And that's why you see people, like, even when they have no spec, they'll poke with it a lot. It is a very, very strong weapon. And that's the big one that's like an area of concern type thing.
So it says here, it deals between 20% and 120% of the user's max hit. And then the accuracy of this special attack is rolled against 25% of the opponent's defense.
Yeah, that last thing is that's the crucial thing. You're basically reducing their defense for a free hit. And if you're dealing if you're rolling between 20 and 120% of their max hit, that means you're basically hitting 60% of your max hit every time. Let's say that's like a 30 or something. So if you get them down low enough, because the spec ignores most of their defense, unless I'm reading it wrong, that's why it's so strong, because it's used as like a KO weapon.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Here's the thing. I don't mind them introducing powerful PvP weapons. I just wish it was more of a risk than it is now. Do these things protect on death? Can you charge them, like with Revenant Ether? Because that would be a way to...
Having it... I like the idea of having it drop like 100% of the time, like being unprotectable. I looking at the Vestas, I don't think I'm super opposed to it, because I'm just looking at the AGS right now, and that one, it deals 37.5% more on top of your maxed hit, or it hits 37%. Sorry, let me read that again. So with the AGS special, it has double accuracy and also inflicts damage with 37.5% higher maximum hit than the normal attack.
Yeah.
So the Vestas would be more accurate, but it wouldn't be hitting as high as an AGS could. So now you would have to I think I'm okay with the Vestas. I think the main problem would be is that it's it could be used as the main attack weapon as well. So it's not like you're holding your and the speed and it's slower than a whip. So I don't even know if people would use that as his main weapon. That's my main. That would be my main worry. That if the Vestas longsword was your main attack weapon and your KO weapon all at the same time.
I just find it funny how Jagex keep trying to force these in.
Yeah, I know. It's like they can't. Sometimes I wonder if they struggle with unique ideas. Because even though sometimes that something comes out, I'm like, that's awesome. And then later I found out that it's already in RuneScape 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Vestas longsword I don't have a problem with, but you could have slapped a new name on it.
Almost everything in Old School is like an RS3 rework.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's true. But even I think one of the reasons they do it as well is because they know a lot of people did like these weapons back in when RuneScape 3 was like RuneScape 2.5.
Yeah.
So I think they also tag that in there because they know having it called Vestas longsword, you'll have people being like, perfect, I love this weapon. But if you called it like, I don't know, the Magpie mace, you have people being like, fuck is this shit? I don't need a new best in slot. This is power creep.
It's just a bird. You're just smacking people with a beak.
Yeah, this is just summoning, reskinned summoning.
Just a quick rundown of the rest of the items. There is one other big question mark reward that these crates drop. So before that though, an Abyssal Dagger upgrade. This would reduce the special attack cost to 25% and increase accuracy by 20%.
It's awesome. That's awesome. I've seen people suggest before that give the Abyssal Dagger that teleporting thing that Abbey Demons do.
Oh, that's a good one.
To your opponent.
Yeah.
I think they should add that in there. That'd be sick.
That is genius. An Abyssal Dagger upgrade and then Mysterious Emblems is the next one. This includes all tiers, so tier 1 to 10. This is a big question mark. Corrupt Dragon Weaponry. In RS2, Corrupt Dragon was free-to-play degradable dragon armor, but these are different.
Yeah.
These would require 20 attack and have the same stats as equivalent dragon weapons. Once equipped, they will become untradeable and begin degrading to dust, which takes 30 minutes. They would work only in PvP, and they're open to feedback on whether or not they should have the equivalent special attacks or if the stats should be adjusted.
Yeah, that's a big question mark. I agree. It's
literally just a 20 attack requirement.
Yeah, that's big. One thing I like about it, you'll have, new peers will be coming out, right? Where they have just 20 attack and they would only use this, and it's probably an expensive peer to use. But what I don't like about it is that even if a pure account has 40 attack, they have, this isn't, they'll just still use this. They're not at any disadvantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except for maybe the 20 attack peers might be more optimized.
Yeah. Depending on their cost, it would be pretty expensive to use because they only
30 minutes. So
generally, things in Old School degrade either based on the number of hits you do or the time you spend in combat. So blowpipe, technically that's not degrading, but it's more recharging. But that uses up scales every time you hit. Something like your trident is only per hit. Barrows is only when you're taking damage, like in combat, that your barrow's gear degrades. The big thing with these corrupted weapons that you saw in RS2 as well is that even when you're outside of combat, they continue to degrade. In RS2, the way they worked is they degraded to dust after 30 minutes of being equipped. And based on the wording here, with Jagex, it's always a question mark the way they phrase this stuff, but it sounds like it's the same thing. Yeah, once equipped, they will become untradeable and begin degrading to dust, which takes 30 minutes. Does that mean does the degrading process continue if you unequip it? Is it paused? I'm not sure, but I'm assuming it'll be paused. If it is paused, is this a KO weapon for low-level PKing, for example?
Could be, but the way they word it does make it sound like as soon as you equipped it, it starts degrading no matter what, even if you throw it in your bank.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the case, yeah, you don't have much. You're going to be going hard, right?
Yeah, at that point, I mean, I could see why they want to do that, because if you're going to make something that's powerful for low-level PKers, you might as well incentivize them to constantly be in battle for it. So, like, this also brings people into Bounty Hunter, because if you're using something that degrades on time, on just, like, time played instead of time in combat, then you're going to want to find your next target as quickly as possible, which is an incentive to keep using Bounty Hunter. So I can see why, like, I can see their train of thought for this. Does that make sense? How these
I agree.
Weapons kind of incentivize using the Bounty Hunter system. So
someone might have that bounty where it's like kill 2 people without looting their body. And they're like, sweet, I'm going to bust out this dragon weapon and just go ham.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly,
or the corrupt,
the Granite Maw upgrade that they've been talking about in the PvP changes section of the blog, as well as in previous Q&As, etc., how they've talked about the long-standing Granite Maw nerf.
Cool.
Which we'll come on to later. Also, the shop will offer a variety of other rewards that can be bought directly, the first of which is a Bounty Hunter hat, which would be available for free. It's a cosmetic, and it would be separate to the existing Hunter's Honor and Rogue's Revenge cosmetics in the Bounty Hunter shop. And the current hats only show whether you have more target kills or rogue kills, but this hat would change in appearance every milestone. And it has 6 tiers. For each of these kill milestones, 10, 100, 500, 2,000, and 5,000. So it's nice. We have a new,
it's cool,
like, flex fashionscape piece of gear, which is always nice to see. There are a couple of these for PVM.
Love that stuff.
Yeah. But I think this is the first genuine big PvP milestone item. So they also offer the following supplies. Omni runes. These are an untradeable rune that act as all elemental runes used in PvP areas only. 1 point gives you 100 runes. I don't mind this.
Huh.
It sounds overpowered.
That is very interesting. But the thing is, these are all like, they're trying to reward PKers for killing other PKers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, because like if you're PVMing in the Bounty Hunter world, I mean, in the wilderness, like you shouldn't be. So like seems really strong, but at the same time, like reward the PKers for killing other PKers. That seems fine. This type of stuff I'm looking at, I'm like, shit, I want to get better at PKing because I want to buy shit from this shop. This looks awesome.
Here's the thing is I don't think these are that strong when you think about it. Like, think about the biggest combat spells, or even spells that you use in quote-unquote PvP areas. They're untradeable, and they act only as all elemental runes. So for Ice Barrage, that only uses 1 elemental rune, just waters. Fire Surge uses 2, but you're better off buying a Smoke rune because you'd just be using fire and air. Why would you waste your hard-earned points on these untradeable runes?
And it's going to use 2, right? Because it's got to cover 1 for each elemental.
I'm not sure that would work because, for example, you only use 1 dust rune if you want to, for example, teleport to your house. It counts as 1 air and 1 earth at the same time.
Is that really? I always thought it was. Okay. I always thought it was the other way around. But okay, well, even if that's the case, that's okay. Whatever. Scratch that.
I can see certain like question marks. Does this work in PvP worlds, for example? Question mark, because that's technically a PvP area.
True. True. Okay.
Again, I'm not sure how useful it'll be. Maybe if you're doing Nightmare Zone, I have no idea why, but for example, if you're killing Chronozon, I have no idea why these would be useful. So until someone like finds some game-breaking thing, which I'm assuming there might be, but
it'd be good for snares, or whatever. What is it? Entangle. That's the best one.
But doesn't that use just like air, earth, and water? I think. Does it even use
water, earth, and nature?
So yeah, it could bring in mud runes instead.
Yeah, you could bring, but like, so I don't know if anyone does this anymore. But I used to this one dude, then this guy inspired me. He still to this day, he would bring entangle. So he'd need earth, water, nature, and then he would do like one of the god spells, which is let me see here. Fire and earth, fire and air along with it for I think it's the Saradomin one. Yeah, you need fire and
they're
air
all
as well.
Fire and air and blood, I think.
So then he would need those two, and then plus the charge. That's also air and fire. But I don't know if you'd still use that because fire surge. But well, there you go. There's there's some. I don't know.
If you're thinking about this from like a max efficiency fire surge point of view, you get your entangle, which is water and earth, and fire surge, which is fire and air. Fair enough. That's 4 runes that you need. But if you need the inventory space that badly, you would have brought in mud runes and smoke runes.
Yep.
That's if you're not using like a Tomb of Fire or whatever. Because you'd definitely be using a Tomb of Fire for Fire Surge anyway, because it gives you higher damage. So already, instead of bringing mud and smoke, you could just bring dust and water, which is way cheaper. That's way cheaper already. So I don't know.
But maybe their idea is that someone who's so good at PKing and PK so often, instead of them spending GP, they could just spend this currency they now have. I don't know. Actually, now that you mentioned, they could just go buy the 100k GP bounty crates and then sell that and buy the runes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they have so much and they're just like, I have no problem stocking up on these Omni runes.
These are interesting though. Teleport tablets. Another supply you can buy. Teleport tablets for the teleport to bounty target spell. These would require that the spell has first been unlocked and use 1 point per tab. Notice how this is the first time they've said that they've not mentioned that this is untradeable, which means this is definitely going to be tradable.
Oh. Interesting. I think it should be untradeable because then it's the problem they have now with the bounty hunter shop where it's like, well, does it make more sense to buy 10 of the tablets or buy 1 crate?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if that's a problem because then it would just supply and demand, right?
Truth, but also the bounty target teleport, I think, is usable for all 3 spellbooks, isn't it? Or is it just ancients and standards?
I don't know if it's on all of them.
If you're solo PKing, which I assume you would be in Bounty Hunter, you might want to bring freezes or you could bring all 3 spellbooks if you have like a specific Venge build, Venge plus Darox or something, but depending on that, like teleport to bounty might not be the end of the world for you to bring. I think it might just be the rune inventory space. But considering you get 1 point per kill on a flat rate, that basically means you're sacrificing 1 point for a free teleport to your next target, which means you're breaking even unless you get those streaks going.
Yeah, and I know what it's good for is like, you see someone in deep wilderness and you want to take them down, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool. And then you can do that with ancients now. So we have it, yeah.
Interesting. Cosmetic recolors is next. And these are pretty interesting. And these we can plow through because they're very straightforward. The following items would have recolors offered in the shop, 25 points each. Magic shortbow, nice. PKing weapon.
Okay.
Spiked manacles, nice. Pure weapon. Rune crossbow,
sure.
Nice. Ghostly robes. Okay. Elder Chaos Druid robes. Fighter torso recolors, that's interesting. You get pink abs now. And ancient staff. And then special attack recolors, which are permanent unlocks that let you change the following special attack animations for 100 points each. AGS, BGS, SGS, and ZGS. Can I pause for a second and say, this is why people don't read the blog, because Jagex uses up so many words to basically say the same stuff that they can, like, easily simplify. They just used an entire paragraph to basically say that for 100 points, each of the God Swords, you can change the color of their special attack animation.
Yeah. It's almost like they wanted to, it seemed like the only reason they said it was to be like, One does a swirl, one does a slam, one's an uppercut, and one does a swipe.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, like you could even shorten it down, but the problem is when you do that, it just like from a basic like communication perspective, people are going to be thrown off. People are going to think that this is like way denser than they would want to get into. Yeah, come on. And then they mention other rune pouch would remain in the shop for 250 points and the teleport to target spell unlock for 250. Worth mentioning, you can't use the teletabs. I'm not sure I mentioned. You can't use a teletab without unlocking this first. So right off the bat, you'd still need to do Bounty Hunter enough to get 250 points.
Yeah, so which is fair.
Even if they were tradable. Along with the shop, the new Bounty Hunter NPC could be added, and he would host the shop as well as explain the rules of Bounty Hunter and would provide stats such as number of kills. If having two NPCs could be confusing between this one and the Emblem Trader, the Emblem Trader's duties could be handed over, duties, to the new NPC. Let us know what you think of this idea. Both ourselves, myself and Dilz, or Jagex, take your pick. Chances are you'll get the same response either way, let's be honest. Actually, would probably respond better. I don't mind Jagex. I need to stop with this Bounty Hunter pessimism.
With the recolors though, I do hope it's not just a recolor and more of like almost like an ornate kit. The way you did that with Clue Scrolls.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want the fighter torso to now be like pink, as you said, or like blue or red. I would rather it just like have more sort of something on it to make it look cooler, but I'd want it to still be recognizable as the torso, just some blood splats on it or something.
Yeah, that would be cool. The magic shortbow, continuing with the theme of like elvish stuff, especially because magic trees are supposed to be like elvish.
Yeah.
Imagine like the magic shortbow becomes like splintery and all like an elvish archer's bow or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like, I wouldn't want it to change enough so that someone's like, oh shit, he's got some new crazy weapon that's out.
My question is, how the hell do you recolor ghostly robes if they're practically transparent?
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is, you know how they have that piece of that's like the armor that's
the corrupted rune or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay.
Fair enough.
Something like that, I guess, but I don't know.
And then they mention quick couple of sections. Mysterious emblems. If points from the new system are used to buy from the shop, where does this leave mysterious emblems? Good question, Jagex. The current mysterious emblem system faces two major issues. First, it's not profitable enough for players, and second, the system lends itself to boosting. So to prevent boosting, mysterious emblems must produce 0 net gold. However, they need to be able to produce profit for bounty hunters who wish to use them. So this is their proposed solution. Ensure that mysterious emblems only come from Bounty Hunter, which means making all tiers untradeable and removing them from the Wilderness Slayer loot table. New emblems would also no longer be generated by killing your target. For those of you concerned about reducing the profit of Wilderness Slayer, they can increase the loot awarded from Laren's chest, which suggests that they've been planning this for a while now, which is why they pulled this chest coming out, in my opinion, if you read between the lines. Where would emblems come from? Emblems would be bought and sold to and from the emblem trader. In the new system, a player willing to accept the extra risk would buy an emblem from the trader and then upgrade it by getting kills. I'm going to start to condense this a little bit because this is a lot of waffle for not too much info. Basically, you buy an emblem from the trader, you buy tier 1 for roughly 75k, they have a table, and then up to tier 5, which is 1.2 mil, and you can sell it back and forth. So you buy tier 1, you keep upgrading until you get to tier 5, and then you sell it. To be eligible for an emblem upgrade, you need to kill a target with an emblem of the same or higher tier. And when you do that, your emblem is upgraded to the next tier and their emblem is lost. And the way it works is the emblems double in value. So 75k is tier 1, 150k tier 2, 300k tier 3, 600k, 1.2 mil. And so the idea is you're always taking away that equivalent amount. Because if I need to upgrade my tier 3, which is worth 300k, and Dilz, you have another tier 3, I need to kill you. If I kill you, I get 600k total, but you lose your 300k. So it's almost like you just lost 300k and I picked up the loot.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They give an example, which we just went over, player A and player B. And then to ensure finding a target with a chance to upgrade your emblem are not too rare, the total number of tiers would be reduced to 5. Not a bad idea. In summary, mysterious emblems would be used by players looking for additional chances to earn gold while playing Bounty Hunter. A successful Bounty Hunter player would match with others carrying emblems, gain upgrades, and cash in their profits at the emblem trader. In addition, earning rewards via crates from the shop. The problem here that I'm already foreseeing is that because this is so linear, what is stopping me from constantly staying at tier 1 to tier 2? Because let's imagine I'm a really good PKer.
Mm-hmm.
If I get to tier 4 or 5, I'm going to start getting matched with people with tier 4s and 5s for my bounty, which I'm assuming are also good PKers because they've got that kill streak already. Why don't I just get a tier 1, upgrade it instantly, sell it, and keep camping tier 1s because I'm thinking that all the bad PKers are going to be camping tier 1s because they keep dying.
Well, I think the people who, like, as you said, like someone who's super confident in their abilities, because it'll be way better GP per hour if they're getting tier 5s. Yeah, a lot of people, you have to start, it's like, yeah, you got to weigh the risk versus reward. You know, like someone like me, if I were to partake in this, yeah, I would definitely sell it at level 2 because I'm like, I can't believe I got 1 kill. And for me to think I'm getting another kill right away, fuck that.
That's it. I'm retiring.
Yeah, it was a good run, a very good run. Whereas someone like I don't know, Manked Up Mage, you know how he wins a bunch of the Deadman mode tournaments and stuff.
Yeah,
he might be like, yeah, I'm the best. I'm gonna go straight to the tier 5 every time because I'm pretty confident I'll actually get them. So I think it's cool. I like this, especially like, yeah, you're gonna have like the best PKers. Ideally, are going to be at tier 5. Yeah, you hopefully have a run for your money for the people up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on board. This is pretty cool.
I see what you mean now, actually, and it just depends on your confidence, I guess, at the end of the day. And again, this is my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. We understand that this is a big change to the mysterious emblem system and would affect many players holding on to emblems they currently own. Before any system like the one above is implemented, players would have ample warning and a grace period to prepare. And this grace period will let you cash in your stored emblems to the emblem trader. So you'll be able to sell your tier 10s to the emblem trader back for 2 mil each. And if the old emblems still in their banks or inventories after the grace period will be removed. So if you soft quit the game and have a bunch of tier 10s or whatever in your bank, this is going to suck. But
yeah, you're gonna be pissed and confused when you return.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like Jagex, just you can't help it at that point. They mentioned upgrading the Bounty Hunter interface because it takes more space than it needs to and would need to accommodate different information if the above features are implemented. We propose removing the rogue and hunter kills. Nobody actually knows what rogue and hunter kills are. Do you know? Like,
yeah. To get a hunter kill, you just have to kill who your target is. To get a rogue kill, you just kill someone who's not your target.
Okay. We probably should have gone over that way earlier.
Yeah, true. Fair enough. But yeah, it's a weird system. It's, especially like that's why I like this whole rework, because the way it is now, it's like, you know, you get matched with someone and half the time you're like, I'm going to fight someone else anyways. And there's not really much incentive.
Yeah, fair enough. And then they also mentioned the wealth indicator is also not particularly helpful in determining just how much your target is risking. We would like to remove this as well. A new interface would show the name of your target, whether or not they're carrying an emblem, whether or not you qualify for an emblem upgrade if you kill them, and their location. A range of wilderness levels similar to the current version of the interface. And then a bounty would be added to remind you what your current task is. It would also have a timer showing you the remaining time you have to complete your task. It sounds like a lot of info, but if they condense it, I guess it might be able to work.
Sure, they have some tricks up their sleeve.
Other changes, and then finally PvP integrity. So I'll go over these real quick. So a list of smaller changes that would be included: requirement of 30 combat, 6-minute cooldown after dying to your target, which prevents you from getting a new one, will be killed. 20-second period of immunity will apply to players who've just killed their target. It's basically an anti-PJ rule. indicator on the bounty hunter interface showing if your target is in a multi-combat zone will be added. And then finally, when using the teleport to target spell, if the target is in level wilderness, it'll teleport you to the dangerous area by default and not the safe zone like it currently does. PvP integrity. In the Small Game Improvements poll blog, they discussed a number of PvP changes. The decisions made regarding each of those changes will be found in the following sections. So let's go right into it. And the changes mentioned in the magic defense calculation section are not as integrity, but simply as a point of discussion. And again, these are all points of discussion, but because they're integrity changes, they'll probably be unpolled.
Yeah, they will be.
G-Maul. The G-Maul is a weapon almost exclusively used in PvP. Despite being a low-level weapon, requiring only 50 strength and attack, it offers big KO potential. And it's also low cost compared to the other weapons with similarly high KO potential like D-Claws or the AGS. To rebalance this, they're going to increase the special attack cost from 50 to 60%. But to avoid making it unviable in PvP, they are planning the thing we just went over, which is introducing an upgrade through Bounty Hunter that lets you revert it back to 50%. It will be available... Hang on a second. It will be available from the Bounty Hunter store for 1.25 mil Bounty Hunter points.
I think they forgot about that part. It's a lot of kills, if that's the case.
That's 400,000 kills or something if you're going by... Okay. I'm pretty sure this is based on the current number of Bounty Hunter points.
Yeah. Maybe they plan to put this Gmaul change in, but it makes no... I think it was just an oversight.
Oh,
I wrote this up.
I see what they mean. They are going to do this unpolled, and they're going to add it to the current Bounty Hunter store for 1.25 mil, which is in line with the rest of the current Bounty Hunter store. And then if it passes, if the Bounty Hunter rework passes and the relevant items pass, when the update is rolled out, they're just going to add this Gmaul upgrade to the crates, the bounty crates that we talked about, which have their unique loot table. Okay,
makes that makes a little bit more sense. I guess it's our fault for not reading the whole paragraphs.
Fair enough, yeah.
Din's I still like the idea of having to kill like 400,000 people for it.
That would be pretty funny. You just have the most rare item in the game at that point. Let's just go through these because they've mentioned this and we've talked about it, and I think they've been talking about this for so long that you and Deegan have mentioned a bunch of these. Din's Bulwark is a powerful two-handed shield used for tanking. Because tanking is not a prominent PVM mechanic, the Bulwark is basically just used to escape PvP situations. So there's, in the Small Game Improvements blog, they mentioned wanting to reduce the stats by 10 across the board, but because of feedback, they have decided to go back on this, and instead of reducing all of its stats by 10 points, they want to reduce the magic defense bonus from 18 to 0. This is a relatively minor change in terms of how often spells are likely to hit. And instead of making this drastic change and then just forgetting about it until 2 years from now, they're going to make this minor change and monitor its effects. Jagex learning from their mistakes, and I have to say you have to give it credit for that.
Yeah. What do you think of this? I know a lot of people, PVMers mostly, are pretty pissed off about this change.
Yeah. Din's is generally a very, very niche weapon. There are a couple of very, very specific uses in PVM. In my opinion, though, again, this whole nerf for the Dins, we mentioned this, but it's a band-aid. They need to address the big problem because otherwise, every single year, we're going to come up with another weapon that they're going to realize is broken in some way for PvP.
Yeah.
That being said, reducing its mage defense from 18 to 0 seems to be a good compromise because it doesn't change too much about how it's used in PVM. A couple of uses, for example, you can use the special attack to lure monsters, which is the big reason why you'd use it in Slayer tasks. If you're bursting Necreals or Dust Devils, for example, you whip out the Din's Bulwark. It attacks everyone around you and draws their aggro, so you can basically just get all their aggro so you can start barraging them. When you do solo raids in the Tightrope puzzle, you can use the Din's Bulwark to draw the aggro of all the majors or the rangers and tank them. And people will do this in solos, like you'll draw the aggro of the rangers, and then you'll cross with a range prayer on and max tankier, and because the Dilz bulwark is so tanky, you'll basically safe up. So it has a couple of niche uses, and I think this helps them address the issue of being able to basically equip this when you're doing Black Chins of the Wildy and running south instantly and never catching a freeze. Especially because the shield looks pretty, like it looks like a melee tank weapon.
Yeah, so, no, it does, yeah.
So you can see why like mage defense is not the end of the world for it in terms of thematically, but
yeah, a lot of people are pissed because this is used often. You know, people doing Black Chins in the wilderness, or they're doing the Chaos Altar, or probably some other things, the Dark Crabs maybe.
In my opinion, like you just mentioned, the PVM community who are in the wilderness are pissed because it gives even less power to them, and it basically, like, a lot of people are upset because they keep saying Jagex is trying to make PVM in the wilderness basically like a sitting duck situation for the PvPers. And so you're just going to have people who sit there and like can't run away, and Jagex is basically forcing them to keep going back to the wilderness. Like Wilderness Slayer, nobody wants to do Wilderness Slayer because, oh, it's like Slayer plus PvP. People do Wilderness Slayer because it's good money. And so when you constantly nerf things like this, you're taking away the ability for the PVMers to resist PKers. Yeah. But this doesn't fix the issue, which is that PvP should be about you killing other people who are trying to kill you. It shouldn't be about trying to hunt down those minding their own business. RuneScape isn't that kind of game. And certainly it does work in some games where it's like PvP is everywhere, like Deadman mode, kill or be killed. But when you have a game that's like so focused on independent progression and hitting your own goals, the idea is OSRS is a sandbox. So why do you have to force people to be out of their comfort zone and do a specific part of the game that they might not want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I know they don't have to do Wilderness Slayer. They don't have to hunt Black Chins for Hunter, but Jagex keeps incentivizing it by catering PvM updates to the wilderness and catering skilling updates to the wilderness. And I would say sometimes you are forced to go into it. The wilderness resource area, you need it for a couple of diaries, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, they have the whole, what is it, Wilderness Diaries, right?
Exactly. And
I know a lot of them just give you perks for the wilderness, for stuff in the wilderness, but same thing, but
you still need it. It's
kind of hard because I agree. For the most part, you should be able to fight, like you should be going straight for your own other people PKing. But I do like the idea of like, well, if I want to go train prayer at the Chaos Altar, it's going to be pretty risky because there's going to be people trying to kill me. But, I weigh it out and it's worth it for me. Or like the Revs is another example, even though that place is a mess, but still. Yeah, it's tricky, and I can get why people are pissed. But at the same time, if you've used the Dilz bulwark in PvP scenarios, or where you're PVMing in a PvP scenario, there's no question how strong this thing is. Like there's a few times where like I'm doing using the Chaos Altar and I get attacked, and like I'm not worried. I finish my inventory of bones, and I run away. I barely eat any food if I have to, and half the time I'm just like super lazy.
Yeah,
but like people won't even chase you down when they see you with it. As soon as you like start running out of the Chaos Altar temple area, they're just like, okay, fuck it. There's no point in chasing them because I'm not going to catch a freeze, or even if I do catch a freeze, I'm not going to be able to do any damage to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I can totally see why they do want to nerf this thing a bit, and nerfing the magic portion of it. Yeah, you'll get freezed. You'll catch freezes more often, but it's still strong. It'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
you'll still get away as long as you're not AFKing too hard.
Again, like band-aids. Temporary fixes for an underlying issue, in my opinion. But again,
yeah, that's true.
In a one-off situation, I'm at least like I'm happy with the fact that Jagex are not making a drastic change and in their words as well, they've addressed how they've clearly learned from the mistakes that they've made in the past, and also their predecessors of massive sweeping updates that may not be good for the game. So, it is what it is. We'll have to see how this kind of like mage nerf in a nutshell plays out.
Yeah.
Bind, Snare, and Entangle. These are the spells that allow you to prevent your opponent from moving for a certain amount of time on the standard spellbook. These durations are currently halved if you cast them on an opponent who is praying for mage. In response to player feedback, we will remove this condition. It's commonly requested that they make Snare and Entangle available to non-members. Bind is already a free-to-play spell. But if we make Entangle more effective by easing the conditions, there are concerns it would be overpowered in free-to-play. So for the time being, only Snare will be available to free-to-play, and this change will be monitored, and Entangle may also be made free-to-play if other changes mean it won't be as overpowered as they think. Any comments there?
I think the adding Snare is a good idea because, Bind, it's 5 seconds. For PvP, it's not that much at all. It's really not too much. I know people use it for Obor to prevent him from meleeing you. So Snare on Obor is going to be a bit more tricky, but I mean, again, I guess you could just increase Obor's magic defense if it's one of those situations where it's like people have a problem because of one specific monster.
Yeah.
I don't know, but besides, I think I think adding Snare is a good idea. I'm not sure about Entangle, but I guess they're not either, so that's good that they're going to monitor. I don't know. What do you think?
I am not too sure about how this affects free-to-play PKing. I'm not the most experienced at it. I don't do it that often at all. But I will say I'm not qualified to have an opinion on this. I'm open to seeing how it works. And again, I'm glad that they're doing it in small steps. So what they're doing is they're adding Snare in first. And then I agree with most of what you said. I just like how they're adding Snare first. If that isn't too big a change, then they're going to think about adding Entangle, which I think is a nice way to do it. That being said, let us wrap this up because we still have a bunch more to go. Spec tabbing. For anybody who's not interested in PvP, this is like the slowest grind read you could ever ask, like for a podcast. If you're interested in PVM, or if you're interested in skilling and you're just listening to this episode.
Yeah, if you're interested in PVM, it's not much this week. It's a very PvP heavy episode, so I'll make sure to throw it in the title so you know what you're running into.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Spec tabbing, imbued god capes, and untradables in PVM. Following feedback on the proposal to revert the teleport restriction that occurs... Okay, I'm going to have to paraphrase this. Basically, people didn't like how Jagex wanted to prevent spec tabbing. They have decided not to go ahead with this change. Imbued god capes will be changed to behave as other untradables do. And basically, when you die, they will return to broken form when dropped. Similar to other items, Purdue will repair imbued god capes for a fee. This is preferable to always being lost on death. Discussions about how other untradables should behave on death in PVM are still ongoing, but because it's a large topic and outside the scope of PvP, therefore outside the scope of this week, no decision has been made just yet. Congrats, Jagex. That's another paragraph to tell us that nothing's changed in the last 2 years.
Yeah, this is something that's not coming into the game right now.
Yeah, thanks, Jagex. Magic defense calculation in PvP. Many of the balancing issues in PvP are a result of the same items also being used in PVM, which means this is a very different meta. Every time that they buff or nerf something in PvP or PVM, vice versa. And a big example of this is the Dilz Bulwark, where trying to change it in PvP changes it in PVM. One way around this is to change the way items behave in PvP situations, such as the toxic blowpipe. But it's not easy or practical, and I think you guys talked about this in an earlier episode. It's not nice when you have a lot of different items that all have different functions inside and outside the wilderness, and it's hard to keep track.
Yeah. It's hard for a new player too, right? And even like myself, there's a lot of times I'm like, why is this not working? Like when I first came, I played the game a bunch, but I'd come and go, and I came back after Zulrah was released, and I was always like, why does nobody PK with the blowpipe?
Yeah.
And then there's some, or like the Trident. Why does nobody PK with the new Trident?
Exactly.
Let me look it up here. And there's something for PvP, isn't there? I can't remember what it is. So during PvP, combat attack speed it's slower. It's as fast as a short bow. In addition, its attack range is +2 higher than that of throwing darts at 5 by default. The blowpipe has an attack range of 5. Long range increase. Basically, it's slower in PvP, so people don't use it.
Yeah, it is what it is, and it's not really a nice system. So they've been trying to implement a new change. They take like 5 paragraphs to just address this, but basically, long story short, they don't want to keep having that system of things behaving differently in PvM versus PvP. So they tried this in Deadman mode, where they switched the weighting of the way magic defense works. Normally, it is used, it calculates the magic defense you have based on your mage level and your defense level at a 70-30% ratio.
Mm-hmm.
But in Deadman mode, they trialed using a 50-50 ratio where mage and defense are equally weighted. And they think this is a good starting point. And then they mentioned that any upcoming changes or any live game changes will always be preceded with the appropriate beta testing in tournament worlds, last man standing beta, etc., etc. Basically.
Yeah.
And then lastly, they mentioned that your feedback is always important. Please go to the Twitter thread, the Reddit, or the Bounty Hunter channel in the Oldschool Discord. That place is definitely a cesspit. That is a cesspit and a half, that Discord. But as always, your feedback is open.
I think I'm in it, but I have it all muted. I'll have to take a gander, though. I'll have to see what's going on over there.
Oh, yeah. If you want to have like a good chuckle, just go into the questions section and ask how you join voice. I lurk there from time to time, like at work, and generally it's like a nice place to go and ask for advice on like if you started the game and stuff. But a lot of time, like the general chat is just either people talking other people down or people trying to troll. Yeah, the less said about it, the better.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and it's why are you so mad that I struggled with NMZ once? Some huge.
In an upcoming segment, Dilz will continue to read messages highlighted from the Oldschool Runescape Discord. Available for Patreon subscribers only.
Yeah, I'll just read. It's a 1-to-1 translation of it.
Shout out, Doe Bob. That is it for the Bounty Hunter rework design. So I know that was a lot to plow through. What are your opinions on everything? As a nutshell, in terms of the blog.
Overall, I mean, some things aren't perfect and they're still getting ironed out, but I like it. I think it's a good change, and I think it's going to encourage PvPers to face each other as opposed to wandering into the wilderness looking for PvMers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's you're rewarded for being good at PvPing and killing other people who are PvPers. Like, this encourages 1v1 fights. You don't have to worry about clans. You don't have to worry about, getting hunted down as a PvMer. I think it's good.
Yeah.
How about you?
Without trying to repeat everything you're saying, I agree.
Yep.
I think they're trying to shy away from that whole clanman mode thing. So, like you said, the whole 1v1 element is a nice change. Trying to revitalize a certain game mode is nice. And I think the big thing is they're doing this with all the right things in the back of their mind. And as I was reading the blog, I kind of noticed this, how they realized what are the key issues. Clans abusing the wilderness, people boosting emblems, and also upcoming changes that people really are upset about because it's a massive change that changes the meta. For example, the Din's Bulwark. So,
yeah,
most of the blog hit on those 3 points. I will say, I was very cynical about this blog in terms of the content, because I'm not the biggest fan of Bounty Hunter, just because it has been bogged down by things like boosting and stuff. But it is a very promising update and a promising rework, and it gives us a nice bit of fresh PvP content to do if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So on the whole, not the worst changes by far. It's a really good change. I just wish that they learned how to condense a lot of their information, because it is so much to take in when you're looking at it at face value.
Yeah, no, it really is. Even discussing it, you're like, wow, we've spent some time doing it. But at the same time, it's weird because there's like a lot of information, and I appreciate that they're making it as clear as possible, but there really is a lot. And most people are going to go on the subreddit and be like, you read it. Tell me what to think.
Yeah, I wish they would be able to basically, why don't they just do this? Because they have a Q&A section every week anyway. Mm-hmm. Why don't they just like record them going over the poll blog? They just have them release one that's half as long, not as detailed at all. And then they go...
People have been asking for it too, as like a podcast even, where it's like the JMods discuss, this type of stuff. I think that's a good idea.
When they go into it, like if they do a podcast or a video on their Twitch or something every week, they go over the poll blog and say, okay, we gave it to you in a nutshell format where it's like half a page of reading to do for the new poll blog, and let's go over it together. Okay, so the Dilz bulwark, we didn't want to make a drastic change, blah, 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 blah. And that's where they talk about like their reasoning and stuff. Because otherwise, they're clearly trying to appeal to every single person who reads these blogs. Like, people who are reading it to try and find out if things are going to be broken for the meta, people who are trying to find out if the wilderness is going to be revitalized, people who want to understand Jax's decision-making, etc. Which is why every single section has like those caveats in it where they say, we didn't want to make a drastic change. The reason why we're looking at this is because currently the way mage defense works in the wilderness is XYZ. Like, it's good background information, but for somebody who just wants the basics and wants to know what this new rework is about, like it took them like an entire paragraph to basically say that they're recoloring the fucking swirls. Sorry for the bad language, but they're coloring the swirls on the god swords. They could have just said that.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Not a bad blog, though. I don't want to be overly critical. But that's it for the bounty hunter.
I totally get what you mean. All right, Magpie, since you that was quite the hefty poll blog to go ahead to read through, I'll take the next one. And this one is on the topic of PvP, but last man standing and the rewards poll blog. So we've talked some of the rewards ideas before, but now they're actually polling some of the actual rewards, like which ones should actually be in the shop. Okay, so they start off by saying the reward system. They previously stated that the plans for the high stakes and competitive games was for players to receive 5 points for taking part, 10 points per kill, and an additional 30, 20, or 10 points for placing first, second, or third. So if you don't remember, there's going to be 3 game modes: casual, competitive, and high stakes. Casual, you just play for fun. Competitive is, it's where you win your points. And then I think high stakes is where you can win money on top of that, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And last man standing, if you might have played the first, like the way it was released, it was supposed to be like a battle royale sort of thing. You start off with nothing, you loot crates, you get weapons and armor, and then you be the last one standing. But the way they've been beta testing, and we talked about it in a previous episode, but it's now more of a tribrid fight. So you start off with just your tribrid gear, and you face with someone. When you beat them, all your inventory is refreshed, your health and all that is all refreshed, and then you get a key that allows you to get some better gear, so it upgrades your already tribrid gear. It's a bit different, but I mean, I personally, I do enjoy it now that I quote unquote get it. Hey, have you had a chance to try the betas?
I have not, no. How about yourself?
I did a little bit, and I talked about it before about how I didn't like it at first because it was a big change where I liked starting off with nothing and then building your gear setup.
Yeah.
But then once I understood that this is really good for getting better at PKing in general, then I was like, I'm totally on board.
Yeah. I kind of wish I went in and hopped in for a bunch, but I have a friend who does a lot of Fellow Master. He did the beta, and he's been pretty excited for it.
Yeah, it seems like they might be doing some more betas. We'll see through the dev blog if they touch on it. But anyways, so the way the point system is going to work, so 0 points will be given to the players who are in the 20th to 24th person standing. 1 point if you're between the 10th and 19th person. 2 points for placing between 5th and 9th. 3 points for placing 3rd or 4th. 4 points for second, and 5 points for first. There will also be bonus points based on the kills in a single game. So 1 bonus point for any player who gets 3 kills in a game, and then 2 bonus points for any player that gets 5 or more kills in a game. These bonus points do not stack with each other. At the end of the round, the player will be awarded the points based on their finishing position and additional bonus points if they are eligible. Please note, with this new system, you will not be eligible for any points unless you are in the game for a minimum of 30 seconds. And now on to the actual rewards. So these will be members only, because Last Man Standing, if you don't know, is free to play. As of now, I actually don't know what they're going to do with it, if they're going to make it Tribrid. Tribrid sort of game mode. Yeah, I don't know, actually. That's weird. Quick question. Do you think if they made this, so they go ahead and they make it to the Tribrid mode, do you think it'd be a good idea to allow free to play to participate, maybe only in casual, but they would still get access to the members, ancients, mystics?
Yeah. That's actually a really good idea in my opinion. Like, that's a great teaser for the game and stuff. Especially if it's just like casual and you don't get your stats tracked or anything. That's like an incentive for them to sign up for membership. Yeah,
that might be a good idea. But yeah, they I don't know if they actually mention how they're going to go with that, but yeah. So some of these rewards will be the Dead Man armors, 3 speed one-handed weapon, a berserker shield, and an upgradable cosmetic cape, Please note that we aim to release past pull rewards as soon as possible. This may mean that not all of the rewards that pass will be released on the launch day. So first thing is the Deadman cosmetic armor. If you don't know, in Deadman mode, there was a set of armor that players could purchase with blood money. Blood money was something you got for killing other people in Deadman mode. Unfortunately, because the armor was underwhelming and you could just farm blood money, the equipment was pretty useless. But what they want to do is remove the stats from the armor and bring in the 3 items. There's a top, bottom, and cape, and make them as cosmetic only for Last Man Standing reward shop. So that's the first pull blog question. Should they have the Deadman mode or the Deadman cosmetic armor? I think it looks pretty cool. And it's kind of a waste if they don't do anything with it.
Yeah, it doesn't look that bad. It's got that nice red and yellow. Like, we have a couple of Factionscape items like Chasing armor that has that kind of color scheme, but it looks really nice for what it is.
Yeah. Next is the Trover Parchment. So under 20 Wilderness, there are certain untradeable items that instead of being lost on death, they stay with the player as a broken version. In order to fix the broken version, the item needs to be taken to Purdue, an NPC who will repair these objects for a fee. In order to increase the usage of these items across more of the Wilderness, we propose the following. Players will be able to purchase a consumable scroll from the reward shop. When taken to Purdue, he will offer to enchant one of the items he normally would repair for a fee. This enchantment will enable the player to take that item above 20 Wilderness and have it not be destroyed on death. Should the player die within the Wilderness, the item will lose its enchantment. This will occur even if it is a PVM death. If the player is PK'd while using these items, 75% of the fee will be dropped to the floor as coins for the PKer. So yeah, and then if instead of being destroyed on death, the enchanted item will appear broken form as it normally would. Each scroll will be tradable and would enchant one item, and the enchantment would last until the player dies with the item. This is to widen the variety of items used in the whole of the Wilderness and increase the risk to players. Because players will no longer have to go get these items again with an annoying grind for like Defenders, Void, or the Fighter Torso, you're more likely to see them appear in PvP, especially Deep Wilderness PvP. Yeah, so pull question 2. Should this Trover Parchment be introduced into the reward shop? What do you think?
I really like this.
Yeah?
I think it refreshes like the Deep Worldy meta. A lot of people don't like Deep Worldy PKing because you lose all your untradeable PVM gear or PvP gear. So like you can't bring a torso, you can't bring your imbued mage cape unless they do the changes they mentioned like in the last pull blog and stuff. Yep. So you can bring things like Void in now, and it's also a money sink. It seems like they're hitting on all bases here.
Yeah, at first I was a little more against it, but now I'm kind of leaning towards like what you're saying. Like, I don't see a problem with it. So next poll questions. For many years, Castle Wars has offered 3 god halos as rewards. Now, what about the other gods? You have Armadil, Bandos, Saren, Zeros, and Brassica, or Brassica, the god of cabbage. They have been underrepresented in the headwear department. As a result, they want to offer 5 brand new halos as a reward. And these would have the same stats as the existing halos, but you can support your own god now. So poll question 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are asking for each of the gods: Armadil, Bandos, Saren, Ancients, and Brassica. If you don't know, in Castle Wars right now, I think it's the best in slot for 1 defense pures. Halos have the same stats as a black full helmet, but they don't have any negative bonuses to your attack for like ranging and mage.
Yeah.
And that also gives you a prayer bonus. So strictly for pures. So adding this to Last Man Standing, it's kind of a whatever thing. Like I feel like you could probably come up with a better cosmetic, but I don't know. The halos are okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I don't even know. Maybe, I was going to say maybe remove them from Castle Wars, but I think their idea for this is that if you're good at PvP, then you'll go get them from Last Man Standing. But if you're bad at PvP or you're learning or whatever, then Castle Wars is still better to grind it out.
Well, I think they're going to be different. I don't know if they're going to be... Wait, did I miss the fact that they're going to be moving them over? Because I think they're just different halos.
Yeah, no, they're not going to be moving them over. I was going to say, why don't you just move the 3 that are in Castle Wars and also put them in Last Man Standing? Mm-hmm. But as I was saying that, I was like, well, actually, it does give someone the chance to do Castle Wars still if they suck at Last Man Standing. Plus, you don't want to remove less people from doing Castle Wars. Yeah,
that's the problem is Castle Wars is already dead content. The thing is, that sounds really logical, and it should be, but people who genuinely like grinded out Castle Wars will be upset if this makes it easier to get. The issue is, though, that Castle Wars is boosted for these cosmetics or for the halos or whatever, for the other armors. So that's a whole nother question. I like the halos that they're proposing here. It's going to improve my Fashionscape game, but
oh yeah,
not bad.
Yeah. So I kind of get what they're going for. Next is the 3-speed one-handed weapon. So this is particularly useful for maulers who keep their attacks their attack level to level 1. So for a long time now, Oldschool has had the event RPG, which is this silly looking bazooka thing that you got from this goblin event. Did you ever do the goblin event?
No.
I wasn't really playing at the time, or if I wasn't aware of it. But there's this goblin event. It's supposed to be like some like a mini raid where you faced off all these goblins, and you had to use the event RPG or the goblin staff, or I think they had a goblin sword too.
Oh yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
That's where the RPG comes from. But it's a 3-speed weapon, which is like really fast. Is there a fast? Hold on, let me look up weapons.
Well, the blowpipe is a 2-speed, a 2 attack speed. So this is like a magic short bow, but for melee.
Oh yeah, you're right. So 3-speed is magic short bow, second fastest weapon. And then with the Treasure Trail expansion, they brought out the ham joint, which is yet another really fast weapon, but it's expensive. So they want to add another weapon to the list, but more thematically aligned with regular weapons of Oldschool. This weapon will attack every 3 cycles, and a cycle happens. Is it 0.6 seconds or 0.8?
0.6 seconds.
Okay, 0.6. It's going to be a one-handed weapon, and it won't have any stats. So the question, should they add a 3-speed one-handed weapon in the reward shop? Next is the Guthixian. Or, well, what do you think of that?
I don't mind it. It just turns the ham joint into less of a meme. Because it's kind of funny how the ham joint is like a pretty funny cosmetic weapon that actually has a use in PVM.
Yeah.
So, for people who don't know that, your attack speed in general is like, if you're using a whip, it's 4 ticks. You have an attack speed of 4. It basically means that you attack every 4 tick cycles. The ham joint attacks every 3 ticks, which means that you can attack faster. And for some pieces of content in the game, that's actually better than a whip. In one specific room in Theater of Blood, for example, you bring in a ham joint if you're assigned to the melee role, if you know what you're doing. Even though it's supposed to be like a cosmetic fun weapon, it has no stats, but the idea is if you bring in like an Avertic Defender and like all your max gear for melee, you get enough of a melee boost against low defense monsters and enough strength bonus to make it worthwhile to use a faster attacking weapon, because you don't need the accuracy or the added strength bonus that the tentacle or something like that offers. And you can do it like even if you were, for example, skipping tasks with Terrell in Birthorpe or whatever, when you reset your task, and he just assigns you rats or something. If you don't want to blowpipe them and you just want to like melee them, you can bring a ham joint and smack them faster than a whip.
True.
So it has random uses like that. So having like an actual 3-speed non-meme like sword or something would be not that bad an idea. And it's also going to be pretty valuable as well if it's come from Last Man Standing.
Yeah, that's right. Right now, the ham joint's at 3.6 mil. So that might actually drop too. Well, it's hard to say. Next is the Gothixian icon and the Staff of Balance. So in early 2018, players were given the ability to add a Ceradoman's Light to a Staff of the Dead, offering a little variety as well as a high-level magic weapon that could cast Ceradoman's Strike. But what about Gothix? With this reward, players would be able to take the Gothix icon to Juna, which is the person you talk to for Tease of Gothix, and they will infuse the Staff of the Dead, creating the Staff of Balance. Staff of Balance will carry the same stats as both the Staff of Light and the Staff of the Dead, while also being allowed to auto-cast Claws of Gothix. Question 9, should this be added?
What do you think?
I don't know. It's whatever to me. It's nothing crazy. It seems like filler.
Yeah, these are all very straightforward.
I don't see anything. There's nothing wrong with the weapon. My only complaint would be like, well, does this need to come from Last Man Standing? Is there anyone who's like begging for this? But like, if they're just trying to fill out the shop, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So they have these like neutral items coming out. Combat experience rewards. Similar to Pest Control, where you can trade in points for just straight up experience, we want to offer points for experience in Last Man Standing. Players would be able to exchange the points at the store in the combat skills that are above level 25. The XP rates for doing so would not be as good as what Pest Control currently offers. Should this be added? Again, that seems okay to me.
Yep. Straightforward.
Yeah, and it gives a chance for like, I don't know, if somebody wants to make like a 10 HP pure and they're good at PKing already, then they can at least have fun while doing it instead of having to repair shit at Pest Control.
Yeah, this is just going to be one of those, like, a lot of these are just filler rewards that nobody in their right mind would actually use unless you're having, like, a really specific niche, like, YouTube account or something. But it's just, like, a way to fill out the store.
Yeah, pretty much. Similar to Barbarian... next is Point Exchange. Similar to Barbarian Assault, we like to offer the ability to exchange a number of points in order to roll on a generic loot table. This table includes a number of alchemical items, useful materials, and supplies. The exchange system for a Last Man Standing will not include a pet. Due to concerns about giving low-level Iron Men easy access to items, they have not had access to it in the early game previously. Iron Men will not be able to exchange points for crates. So yeah, should there be... It's kind of like the one from Bounty Hunter where there's a crate you open up and there's rewards in it, but this won't have any uniques.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have a pet, I guess, but I guess that's kind of hard to do. Rune Berserker Shield. A shield originally released in 2008. The Berserker Shield is a free-to-play and member shield that has stats better than a Rune Kite Shield, but it also requires 45 defense. The shield degrades every 6 hours of combat and can be recharged the shield via a token acquired from Last Man Standing from the Last Man Standing reward shop. This shield will be tradable, and it has the following stats: -8 magic, -2 range, attack. Defense bonuses are +45 stab, +49 strength, +47 crush, -1 magic, +47 range, and it has +4 to strength. So the first question is, should they add this shield as just described? And then the next question is, if it passes, should the Last Man Standing tokens used to recharge the shield also be tradable? If this question fails, the tokens will exist but be untradeable.
This is the Fist of Guthix Berserker shield, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of people will be happy about that.
Yeah, it's good.
A side note, I kind of find it funny how they use the Warriors Guild token for the image for this picture. Like, I have no idea why.
True.
I think they used the Winter Todd crate for the point exchange, but at least
yeah, they did. It's funny. But yeah, I'm always happy to see for free to play getting a new best in slot.
Yeah,
I'm totally cool.
Did they mention it was free to play? Let me check.
They said it would be the Rune Berserker Shield is a free to play. Well, the way they say it, it's hard to tell if they're like, when this was released, it was a free to play, or if they say like this will also be a free to play. But I imagine it would be.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm totally cool with free to play getting new best in slots. It's always exciting. And there's so much to do in free to play, so it's awesome when they just add a bit more, because it, like, I don't know. To me, it goes against what most mobile games are, where it's like the free to play sucks and they really force you to pay money. Whereas some new player is going to spend tons of hours being totally fine just playing free to play. But yeah, next to the upgradable cosmetic cape, because they're doing this quite often now. Much like the capes of accomplishment from Theater of Blood and Chambers of Xeric, and I believe, what is it, the Corrupted Gauntlet? Is that the other one?
Technically, yeah. That's a little bit different, but...
Okay. Well, anyways, we would like to have a new tiered cape that players can claim from Last Man Standing. It will change based on the number of wins that a player has accrued inside the minigame. The tiers are, Tier 1 is 1 win, Tier 2 is 10, Tier 3 is 50, Tier 4 is 100, and Tier 5 is 500. Players will be able to claim any of the capes that they have from the shop, should this be added into the game. Sure, as long as the capes look good.
Yeah, I really, really, really like these like tiered cosmetic. That's like the one thing that when you ask, like, is this like the Corrupted Gauntlet? The thing with the other capes, the ones I'm thinking about are the Theater of Blood kill count one and the Chambers of Xeric challenge mode one. Yeah. Which, in my opinion, are like the rarest and also the coolest items to come across in the game, because they're so A, rare, B, indicative of like that person put in a lot of work and they're clearly good at the content that they enjoy doing. Like, think about how long it takes to do 500 raids. Think about how long it takes to do 2,000 raids. Now, imagine each raid was twice as long and harder. That's 2,000 Chambers of Xeric challenge mode kill count. And it's the same with like Theater of Blood. Like, somebody who actually put in 2,000 kill count, and at that point, it's not for the scythe, it's not for the rare drop, it's not for the pet. They just like really enjoy the content. So if you see somebody with like 500 LMS kills, or LMS wins, I should say, that's a like, okay, you know this guy's a gamer. Like, he's gaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's cool. Now that you mention it, I'd never see anyone with a Theater of Blood cape or the Chambers of Xeric, the Chambers of Xeric challenge mode cape. Like, I haven't seen anyone with it.
Yeah.
They look cool though. I want one. I'm looking them up now. I remember I ragged on them for like looking like shit before, but now I'm like, I think they're cool enough that I kind of want them.
Yeah, what's nice is like they look like ass to start, and then as you get better at the content, you do it more, they get upgraded into like really cool looking gear.
Yeah, which is and it's cool, and that's what people love, is to have RuneScape's all about being able to show off what you have and it being like an achievement. You know, that's why people love pets so much, because even though it's RNG, but you can assume the person put in time unless they got really lucky.
Yeah.
And if you notice, they removed the negative lamps, the bolas, and the Staff of Paralysis that was pitched in the previous reward blog. And this was due to feedback. They might revisit it, but yeah, maybe not. There's a last man standing and all the rewards there. Any thoughts on this, on last man standing?
Last man standing, the whole blog that we just got, or in general?
In general, and what we just got, I guess.
I guess I should say, like, you just touched on the bolas and stuff, so those I'm glad didn't really make it. This is one of the poll blogs where I'm just going to vote for skip question because I don't know enough, or at least I'm going to go and research like everything and like ask people, not ask them what I should vote, but ask them like, hey, why do you like this content? Why don't you like it? And then from there, think about what they said and then look at the content myself and see like what is best for the game, considering the people who are doing this content have these concerns, etc. And Last Man Standing seems like what the reworks that they put out seemed really fun. I'm actually kicking myself for not being able to go into it. I always put it off. The rewards seem really nice. I like the cape. The filler items are kind of just whatever. Yeah, the Gothic staff won't change much. The three speed weapon, again, it's like nice to have a non-goofy attack weapon like that. But the Trouvé parchments, those are the ones that are like really going to help the meta. They're going to be really nice. They're not really a money sink technically,
but they're going to be good for PVM too, because now I can bring my dragon defenders somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, now you can use your torso deep Wildy if you're like at that stage where you're like a mid-level account. You've got a torso, but you're still doing Wildy Slayer, which is always good. You should always get your torso super ASAP.
Yeah.
Let's say you're worried about risking it, you can just use this Trouvé parchment or whatever and be able to keep your gear and stuff. It's not technically a full-on money sink, even though at first, like, I like how it has that variable, like the difference between repairing it and the drop will be a money sink, but because you get this from a mini game where you don't use any items, there's no supply cost, so you basically just generate these into the game through points. But it's still probably going to be good, and it's going to be good for the game, I think. It's going to freshen up Wildy PvP. Wildy PVM is another idea that I didn't even think of, but that's good.
Yeah,
does this mean you'll see
cover all grounds? Does
this mean you'll see more Rev PVMers like in full void?
Oh shit! I don't know. Depends on how much these scrolls cost. He's gonna need 3 of them. Oh boy. Now we're on to the last poll blog. All right, I can take this one away. I think I still got a little bit in me.
Go for it.
So small game improvements and updates and betas. Okay, so here's the betas they're talking about. So first things is the lectern interface. They have changed the lectern interface to look similar to all the other interfaces, kind of like the smithing and the crafting and all that fun stuff. They've also added a marble lectern. It's that it requires 77 construction, a marble block, a magic stone, and a gold leaf to create, and it combines both of the other lecterns together. The clue rewards casket graphics changes, so they've changed the colors of different clue scrolls so you can know, or the clue scrolls casket so you can know which tier they come from. Fishing trawler. The following changes have been made to fishing trawler to improve the minigame experience. Leaky holes in the fishing trawler in the minigame now allow more people to attempt to patch them simultaneously without giving dead clicks. The minigame timer has been corrected as it previously claimed the trip lasted 12 minutes, though it was only 10 minutes long in reality. But it felt like an hour. The true duration was not changed in this update, though. Oh, they might be open to pull it later. And the activity bar in fishing trawler will no longer decrease if there's no activity left to do. Fishing trawler kind of sucks. Yeah. I wish they would just honestly overhaul that whole minigame. Go back and redo some of the shitty minigames.
Make it like Volcanic Mine, but for fishing. Let's say you and your friends go into a fishing expedition, and one person is scuba diving, and they have to catch all the minnows for the people in the ship. One person has to like control the ship and maneuver out of danger, and the other person has to handle all the fishing net elements, so he has to get the fish from the dude scuba diving, the small fish that he caught, put it into the net, repair the net, etc. Did I just like freestyle a great skill-based minigame?
You are an ideas man if I've ever heard one.
Okay.
That's sick. I mean, you know what? Now that you mention it, I love that the idea of having a mini game or a skilling boss variant of different skills. Like they're doing that more, and I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, make it like Volcanic Mine, where it's like a good way to train, not great money, but it gets people involved, and it's like really fun to do with friends. So you can have one person who's a scuba main, one person who's a net repair main, and then I can tell you what I'll be. I'll be the guy sitting there AFKing and flaming people. That's my main, but
hell yeah, you got to have one of those.
Oh yeah, I'm the
but,
encouragement.
It sucks that there's like a lot of the skills are just boring to train. And I know it's like, well, you don't need to level it up, but like, my girlfriend came in earlier and I was fishing on my account. And she was just like, "This is what you've been doing all day? Like, what a waste of a day." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand." And I was like,
I've been clicking these pixels. It is a tough time to be a gamer. So
yeah,
I feel you. You got to stay strong.
We're making it through. On to the Song of the Elves changes, though. Not really too many changes, but the final fight where you fight someone, no spoilers there, there is now, you can now replay the fight, similar to when you're fighting Galvek in Dragon Slayer 2. You can do that for Song of the Elves now. Then there's cutscenes that are replayable. There's a memory device atop the tower of Prifdina's. So you can replay your cutscenes if you're... I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. Maybe you're a content creator and you thought of some cool dubbing. I don't know. The Elven Trader of Eziolit. Oh, you should have read this one.
Both of them. The Elven Trader and Essel. They're two of them.
The Elven Trader and Eziolit have been added to Nightmare Zone after completion of the Song of the Elves. Ardougne Knight Armor can now be stored in your player-owned house. Sick. The Gauntlet Crystal Singing Interface. When using the Crystal Singing Bowl in the Gauntlet, you will now be presented with all types of items you can make.
And it doesn't auto-close. Super helpful.
Oh, I think that's the main thing. Oh, okay, yeah. Got you there. Grand Library Optimization. The Grand Library has been improved graphically to help with the frame rate issues some players were experiencing. Line of Sight Beta. So this is a doozy for some people. For the last 15 years, the way the algorithm calculated line of sight was not symmetrical, and meaning that a player might not be able to range and mage their target without the target having line of sight to range or mage back. AKA, it's like safe spotting when you're like safe spotting a lesser demon, but imagine you can safe spot in PvP and the person wouldn't be able to get you. Like you can attack one person, but the person can't attack you back, even if you have the same weapons. I threw up a video on the PvP, I think it was, that channel.
Yeah.
And then Level 100 Raichu also threw up another video that explains it. Pretty interesting stuff because I didn't really realized it, but somebody breaks it down. In 2009, though, RuneScape released an update that changed the way a line of sight was calculated in order to make it symmetrical. As we all know, Oldschool was released in 2007, and as such, we still have a non-symmetrical algorithm. We plan to implement the updated line of sight algorithm in Oldschool, and as a result, we have opened the beta worlds for you to test it. So the algorithm change could affect many things. The line of sight of such minigames are such as Sorceress's Gardens, Piscarilius thieving challenges, more and other stuff. It'll affect NPCs attacking you and vice versa from a distance while not being blocked by scenery. And it'll also affect NPCs such as the Pestilent Bloat in Theater of Blood. Please go and explore all of Oldschool RuneScape in the beta and provide us feedback via the channels at the end of the blog. As usual, the Inferno is closed, so people can't get the best in slot gear to go practice it. And they would prefer the update to not to affect how players fight Zuck in there anyways. However, these changes are not yet ready, and when they are, we'll need to arrange a more selective test rather than the entire community. So some people are aren't too happy about this. I know Rendy, who does his Lower the Better series, this affects his series specifically. where he's able to like really bug out the game. That's going to correct many things. Yeah, it's a weird system that I didn't really think about until I saw some videos explaining it. What do you think of them updating it?
I would say Rendy's inability to like keep doing the same kind of thing that he's been doing for all his content might be an unfortunate casualty if they put this through, because like Oldschool is a pretty janky game. It runs on a janky engine, and the biggest example of this is the way this line of sight system works and the examples they use. If you've ever done Witch's House, or if you've ever done Sorceress's Garden, like this will resonate with you. But when you move around in the game, and especially when NPCs move around, where your character is and where they seem to be on your screen are different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The biggest example you can do if you have 94 Mage is cast Vengeance or cast any kind of spell animation. You could do this without 94 Mage, but Vengeance, I think they recently updated. But if you cast some kind of spell that causes an animation and then click to run, you'll see your character almost like sprint at super speed, faster than he would normally run, or she would normally run. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that isn't because those spells let you run faster. It's because your character is moving while you're doing the animation, but because the janky engine thing doesn't let you move during that animation, your character is actually moving at a normal rate, but it speeds through the whole running process on your screen, and it shows you moving faster. So there is that line of sight element, but when they talk about things like the Pestle and Bloat or Zuck, you'll notice when people are doing the Inferno on stream or something, they're always running slightly ahead of the shield. And if somebody has never played Oldschool, or if they don't understand the way this system works, which is understandable because you're looking at the screen and the guy is supposed to stay behind the shield, but they're actually walking ahead of the shield. Like the streamer or whoever is playing, they're moving ahead of the shield, and it looks like Zuck can see them and attack them. The reason for that is because the shield is actually ahead of where it looks to be. It's the same thing with the line of sight mini games that they mentioned. I think the Monkey Madness 2 really annoying part where you're in the docks and you have to dodge the monkeys going around, that stealth mini game when you plant the charges. That stuff is another example of this line of sight issue. I'm wondering if this will change,
and make it tougher.
Not necessarily make it tougher. It'll shake people up out of their comfort zone, especially if you're used to this system. But if it makes it so that you actually are where your character is standing, then I'm all for it. But I think this is more so a lot more straightforward of a change. The fact that Rendy makes a lot of his content based around the fact that you can exploit the system where you can attack people and they can't attack you back. There are two different elements here. One is attacking people and them not attacking you back, and the other one is moving somewhere your character doesn't appear to be. So depending on how they address both those issues, they Rendy accounts like that will have to deal with it. Not in terms of move on, get over it, but more they have to adjust and figure out new elements, or they have to compensate for it.
A lot of people are they're used to playing a certain way, so it's really gonna be confusing when suddenly things aren't working the same way anymore when you're still doing everything the same.
And we all know how much this community likes keeping things the same. So
yeah. And it's it is very tricky because there's a lot of things that we've all just gotten super used to. You were mentioning the traveling thing. Mod Ash explained it, I believe. And when you're running, your character looks like he's running, but what's really happening is your dude's walking. He's just teleporting one tile ahead. And that's why you're able to skip traps for the Rogue's Den and stuff. Yep. You can stand on one side of the Rogue's Den and then walk and then click on the other side of it, and your dude can run over the trap and you don't have to disarm it. It's because when you're running, you're skipping a tile because you're teleporting ahead, and it's weird.
Yeah.
But and it's tough, especially when they don't do these changes, that people build mechanics around certain things. So it's they take so long to change it, and these strategies for certain content they use the way the engine is, right? And then if you change it, then it's like that strategy's gone.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a conundrum, but that's why they have the beta, because they want to see, they want to get as much information as possible, which is good. These betas are pretty good, and there's been a lot of people testing them out. On the topic of betas, though, there's the Last Man Standing beta. That one's back. They've done a few changes, like they removed the occult necklace, and there's some other changes. You have infinite energy now, but if you're interested in learning how to tribrid, jump in. I highly recommend it. It is tough. I did it for like an hour and a half and got killed every single time. But when I did get a kill, holy fuck, did it feel good, especially when the person was way better than I was and I just got lucky.
But if you get like improvement, that's progress.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't know if I had noticed myself getting better, but I did. By the end of it, I did get like 2 kills, and I didn't stick with it. But I had fun. Once when you get that 1 kill, you're like, holy shit, this is a thrill. So yeah, go try it out if that's something you're interested in. And there's a bunch of other little changes, but that's no fun to talk about. And we're not quite there yet, though. We got some community chatter to discuss. First things first, let's nice and wholesome. Hey Jace is the second player of Oldschool RuneScape to get 200 mil experience in every single stat. So congrats to him. That's a huge milestone. He streams full time, so you can always go watch his streams on Twitch. And I was able to check out the stream of him getting the 200 mil stats, and it was pretty intense. There's so many people there. Like, the world was full. It was some random world, and it took him like an hour and a half to get 10k experience because of how slow it was going.
Yeah,
but it was pretty good, and I'm sure a lot of you might have seen the clip. But I'm just gonna play one right now of him getting 200 mil experience, because what I found was like so much more wholesome, because it was really cool for Link's Titan to be the first player to get it. But when he got it, he, all it was like a thanks guys, see you later, and then he logged off, and he hasn't logged in since. But whereas Hey Jace, he's someone who streams more, and you got more of his personality in with it.
Yeah.
All right, once again, thank you all so much. I've absolutely loved this journey. It's been an absolute pleasure, and let's do this. The final bit of XP, let's go. There it is. There it is. Congratulations, Hey Jace. It's done! 200 mil XP. Every single skill. 6.5 years after the old school release. It's done! That's it! No more XP.
All in all, less lasagna, more personality.
Yeah, that's it. And it was nice. I thought it was pretty wholesome, and yeah, good for him. If I it was. I was happy. I was like, you know what, Link. I don't want to sound like an ass for saying this, but with Link's Titan, I felt more sad when he got it. There's a little bit of a like, congrats, this is awesome, and he's like, bye, logs out. I was like, he's free, Whereas Hey Jace, I was like happy for him in the fact that like he seemed to enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah.
I hope you get what I mean. I don't mean to sound like a dick.
No. I know what you mean, and I like agree. Where it's the whole concept of you don't have to, like, it's not a race. And people like get caught in the mindset. I'm a massive narcissist, so I'm going to turn this around to myself. No, I'm just going to use this because it's like a lesson that I learned when the Hydra came out. It was hard not to get that mindset of I have to keep skipping tasks for Hydra Claws. I have to keep like trying to be the first to get it. I need to like make as much money as possible from this drop. And it was the same with a lot of people in like the Blade of Saildor that came out. Sometimes,
okay.
Sometimes and this is relevant in more than one element of life, let's just put it that way, it's not the best to finish first. Sometimes just enjoying the ride and being able to... I've tried so hard to think of anything other than a euphemism at this point, but being able to basically enjoy yourself while you're doing something like playing a video game is kind of, it should be straightforward for a lot of people, but for some reason it's lost on a lot of old school players. So for Lynx, it felt like an inevitability, an accomplishment that was destined to put him on like that top spot in the leaderboards, in the high scores. For Hey Jace, it was more of a, honestly, it was more fitting for this kind of community chatter section because it was a community event.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, he had a big, everyone was there for Lynx Titan, but he was streaming it. And even for the last like 5K experience or whatever, 1K experience, he went to Lumbridge and he fished shrimp there just to go back to his roots, as he said.
Yeah.
And as you just heard, he gave a little speech with it. And what was cool is, and I don't think people knew this until Lynx, until when Hey Jace got it, but when you get 200 mil experience, it says congratulations, Hey Jace, and there's a thing of beer. A little chat message pops up because you got 200 mil experience and everything.
I think the easiest way to break it down is when Lynx Titan got it, we were all watching almost from across the fence. We were watching this person do it independently, whereas Jace almost like invited us through the gate and like shared his accomplishment with everyone. And I'm not saying that like to trash Lynx Titan, because if he didn't want the attention, there's 100% nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that for us as like, for our enjoyment, even though it's a little bit selfish to think of it that way, for the people who were watching the stream and stuff, they could be a part of that moment. They weren't just like onlookers like they were with Lynx Titan.
Yeah, exactly. And also, again, throwing to Lynx Titan, like, I guess kudos for him, something that he could easily not exploit, but like if he streamed, tons of people would be watching him just because of who he is, whether he's fun to watch or not, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like Wooks, where it might not have the most personality in his stream. There's a little bit, but like people are watching because he's so good at the game. Right? That's where the entertainment comes from.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, it was cool to see that happen, and now Hey Jace is on the pet grind, so he's trying to get every single pet in the game. So funny to note, he never got the thieving pet when going for 200 million experience. So
now he has to keep going for it.
Yeah, it's weird. Like when you get 200 mil experience, you get a 15 times the chance of getting the pet as you normally would. Like there's an added 15 multiplier.
You get a significant increase in your chance.
Yeah, but most people are like, well, 200 mil experience, you're going to have the pet by then. But you can get unlucky. So there it is.
It's actually like super, super, super lucky to get 200 mil in all skills and get all the pets if you think about it. Because
I think it averages out like 30 million experience is the average rate.
Yeah, so wait. Unless I'm doing my math wrong, that should mean that you're not super lucky if you don't get all the pets, but that means there's at least a couple of skills, unless your RNG plays out perfectly average on each of them. That means there are at least a couple of skills where you just went dry on the pet. And I'm sure there were a bunch of skills where he got the pet like 4 or 5 times, for example.
Yeah, that's the way RNG works, unfortunately. So with Lynx Titan, Jags broadcasted a huge announcement to right above your chat box, kind of when you log in on Thursday, about the new dev blog that's out. They didn't do that for Hey Jace. Do you think it's something that they should do when somebody gets this type of achievement, or do you think it's unnecessary?
I think it's a slippery slope. If it's 200 mil all skills and then they set it at that, then it's going to be so rare that it doesn't really matter too much.
I was surprised when they didn't broadcast something, so that's why I figured I'd bring it up, because I was like, I thought they would.
But if you go on like RS3, for example, every time someone gets 99 in a skill, which with all the bonus experience is like every 30 minutes for your own account. So you're getting basically every time someone gets a 99 in a skill, you get like the broadcast. I don't know if they've changed it, but you used to definitely. And it was really annoying because it's like after a certain point, your chat would just be spammed with like, some random person has achieved 99 in thieving. Some person has achieved 120 mil or 120 in dungeoneering, etc., etc. Like it's nice if it's a massive, massive accomplishment, but if it starts to be for 99s, even though that person like warrants a celebration with friends and everything.
Yeah, that's a private gathering.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'd be here all day.
Yeah, exactly. Next on to community chatter. The Oldschool RuneScape companion app for a mobile. It got a cease and desist letter from Jagex.
Yep.
So if you don't know, there was an app you could download, and it had some useful little things that they could do, but a lot of people liked it because on mobile it's hard to use the wiki, but this one would do an overlay of the wiki, so you could look at quest guides and stuff. So yeah, the guy got told to take it down.
When I heard this, I realized there's a little bit of a parallel or an unexplored parallel here. Do you not think that them letting OS Buddy Pro last as long as it has and immediately having a cease and desist on this guy is a bit of a double standard? We know they have links between...
Yeah, that's a good point.
Sorry, go.
No, well, the reason it got... So it's not so much like, oh shit, they shut it down because whatever. Like the main reason that people are thinking the companion app got shut down was because there was a pro version where you could pay money and then it would give you some of the plugins, I guess. It would give you some extra options that you could do if you paid money. And that seems to be why Jagex wanted it to get taken down, because now they're making money off something. But you make a good point, because OS Buddy, I assume, still does the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same kind of concept where it's like, yeah, it's making money. It's offering extra benefits through monetizing features that are directly related to like an actual trademark product. To just use like the legal lingo, technically, RuneScape is a Jagex trademark intellectual property, whatever. But do you know, I've never used this app. Do you know if it like some of the pro features or some of the features in general, did it know when you were checking your birdhouses and stuff? Did it ever like interfere with the actual app, the OSRS app? Because if it did, then I can see why Jagex would have taken it down if it was like an injector app that just like read your data on other apps. If it offered like RuneLite level plugins where it was like, we can tell when you do a birdhouse run on mobile and we'll just send you a notification next time your birdhouses are ready, or we'll send you a notification when you're about to AFK log from Nightmare Zone or something. If that's the case, then they would have asked for permission to access other apps on your phone, and maybe they wouldn't have done this, but there are some like shady apps that would use that permission that you give them to basically access like your bank app or your Google Pay, your Apple Pay or whatever, either your passwords for certain apps and stuff. And if Jagex got tied in with that, that could be a whole legal issue right there. But I'm not saying that this app did that for sure, and I'm not saying like it even had those permissions. I'm just wondering if it did have those permissions. That might be why.
I don't know if it... So I don't think it did.
Or maybe Jagex is planning on releasing a companion app. Like, I'm stumbling over my words all day today.
It's it's the end of the weekend. It's totally fine.
We've been going for like this all 3 hours.
Yeah. Okay, so I've never actually used this, and I do know some people in the Discord have used this, so I'll have to ask them. But going through the discussion of it, it seems like, so you get these floating bubbles that you could on your you know, like the Facebook Messenger app. Do you use Facebook at all?
I don't use Facebook Messenger, but I know the floating bubble you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So you click it open, it expands. Boom. So it had the same thing for like high scores, for the wiki, for the Grand Exchange, and so it had that. And I think the you could pay money to have more floating orbs because you can only have 3 at a time. So they had different things, like a notepad to put notes, clue scroll, coordinator finder, calculator, skill tracker. That was taking it from Crystal Math Labs though. Yeah, stuff like that. So I don't think it was actually like taking data from it, but yeah, I think the issue is that he was charging money for it and also using a bunch of their pictures and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And the next thing that you brought my attention to off the Twitter, you want to give the rundown on that one?
Sure. So the OSRS Twitter released just like a couple hours ago a little image of the pet rock from the Freminnik, like pet rock, the Freminnik trials and stuff, that says they released 2 images. The first one says your pet rock looks sad, and the second one says your pet rock ignores you. You are in exile of the Freminnik province. So I'm wondering, is this going to be a new quest coming out? Dum dum dum. And then I thought it was going to be like announced at RuneFest. You thought the same thing. I thought maybe they were going to announce Song of the Vikings. I don't know.
Yeah.
War Cry of the Freminniks.
Sick.
Freminnik Slayer 2.
I'm down for all these.
Freminnik Madness 3. Sheep Herder. Freminnik Herder. Anyway. Apparently, Mod Wolf said this wouldn't be like a whole Grandmaster level quest. It's just going to be a Master quest. Which, they might announce before RuneFest. I don't know if they will announce and release it before RuneFest. It's probably way too late for that. But we know that they announced another Master level quest that wrapped up a quest line, though, at RuneFest.
Yeah?
Making friends with my arm.
Yeah, that was pitched like 2 years ago or something, but it was still pitched. And also, if you remember do you remember the that good fun time that the community really dealt with in a good and mature way with the Pride event, the gay Pride event they put into the game, that really small?
Yes.
Okay, so
and it certainly was an event that made us proud of the community. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
it really was.
I mean, it did advertise the game.
That was a fiasco.
Tons of different podcasts and gaming news outlets had talked about that. Anyways, so Mod Wolf was the one who was working on this new idea. They were planning, or maybe they did already at the time, but they were nerfing the Serpentine helmet because it had it was just really strong in a bunch of different ways, and now it's still good, but people opt to use the Natisnot helmet more.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, they nerfed it, and it was because Mod Wolf was wanting to bring out a new Freminnik quest that gave you a new best in slot helmet. That's what he was pitching. Although but this is when he was working on the quest on his own time, and kind of like Byrofrita and I think Obor as well, where it's like these side projects that somebody just works on, maybe they stay late at work.
The tap time thing.
Yeah, the tap time. Their own little personal projects. So then Mod Wolf, who I think he is the one that brought in the Gay Pride event. It's like wasn't even an event. It was just like there's like these 4 items around RuneScape. You bring them to someone, he gives you a scarf. But anyways, with all the backlash, he was like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm not going to be, you know what? Why should I work on this quest on my free time when this is how some of when this is like when the vocal minority is acting this way over something that he was excited to bring the little Gay Pride event in. yeah, so then he kind of stepped away from that, his tap project. Lo and behold, it's been a couple years, and if you look at the thread on Twitter, when people are saying stuff, Mod Wolf is the one who seems to be responding to a lot of it. So it does seem like maybe he was working on it slowly but surely, or maybe he felt like, maybe now is the time to do it. We'll try it again. But yeah, one of the comments was, we've been waiting years for this quest. They even originally nerfed the SERP helmet to make room for the new best in slot helmet coming from this quest, but the rumor has it Mod Wolf canned the quest to punish the community for rioting during the Pride event. I should have read that comment all the way through. Anyways, the Mod Wolf says a couple things. We nerfed the helm regardless. I never cammed the quest. We just never had the right place to put it. And I stopped working on it in my spare time. That's all that kind of happened. And then, anyways, here we are. Somebody said they were surprised that it wasn't revealed at RuneFest. He says it's a master quest. This isn't Song of the Elves. So maybe this is a way to fill the void of warding with that not passing. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Is this a quest line you're looking forward to?
I was trying to read through some of the Twitter replies as well, see if anything stood out. I don't know about that whole the conspiracy theory thing with Mod Wolf basically killing the baby in the crib, so to speak. That sounds like he's cutting that. Like if he were to do it, it would be cutting his nose off to spite his face. I don't think he's that sort of person.
No,
for the quest,
I don't think it was ever the way the guy was punishing the player basic, but it could be more like you feel less motivated.
Oh yeah, like disheartened and stuff. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, that event was such a black mark on Oldschool's history.
Oh yeah,
in terms of its community. So it feels fitting that we talk about it in community chatter. That dark day.
The
real spirit of gaming was lost. Okay, I need to stop with these gamer memes. But
so deep.
Yeah, stay strong, dude. We live in a society. All that fun stuff. The master level, Freminnik quest, if it were to wrap up a series, would have to be one that's some kind of epic battle for me to really get into it. You're talking about Freminnik Vikings. The last time we saw these guys, technically, if you were following the release, is them going on these ships to fight with us during Dragon Slayer 2.
Oh yeah.
So this should be
and it's a long quest line, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've had, with all the requirements and stuff, there are so many side quests, though. That's the thing. You have, Mountain Daughter, Olaf's quest. You have, technically, the Troll quest line, which kind of... Is there any overlap, with Edgar's Ruse? I'm not really sure. I know that there's,
don't think... Not in that quest series thing I was talking about earlier. Edgar's Ruse is in both the Druid Circle quest line and the Troll quest line.
Oh, yeah, you're perfect for this. Because you've literally just done this. This is great timing. What's the one overlay quest where it's you have one quest that's related to the Freminniks, Mountain Daughter or something, but it's also required for another quest? Is it?
Let me check.
Is it Cold War or something? So it's definitely in that region.
Oh, that was a quest line that just never picked up. Fun fact about these quest series. I mean, it makes sense, but it seems like half the time it's one or it's two. The same person is working on every quest in that series. So it's they have this giant story they want to tell.
Yeah, and that's really nice to see.
But it also means there's a lot of quest lines we're not going to get the story of because the person's moved on. So the Freminnik is kind of on their own because it goes Freminnik Trials, Horror from the Deep, Throne of Miscellanea, Royal Trouble, Luna Diplomacy, the Freminnik Isles, and then Dream Mentor is the final. And then there's Mountain Daughter and Olaf's quest as side quests.
Mm-hmm.
That's from the quest series that they have put together on the wiki and on both RuneScape and Oldschool wiki, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd have the Miscellanea quest series there with the whole, marriage, Royal Trouble stuff. You have the Lunar Isle stuff, which kind of wrapped up with Dream Mentor. You have the Freminnik Trials and Isles, and now the Freminnik Exiles. So I'm assuming it would be a standalone to continue that series, if anything. It just makes sense.
Right.
Trials, Isles, exiles. Like, they're not being subtle about it.
Yeah. They've got their plans. Yeah, it's exciting. I am totally down for it. I've been totally getting into these quests. Like I said on my Hardcore Iron Man, the questing has been the most fun thing, going through and reading all the dialogue and learning the story, and kind of, I know bits and pieces, but it's kind of putting the puzzle together. It's been fun.
At this point, anything we say is pretty much speculation, so...
Yeah, that's true. So, more news in the future. Speaking of the future, not really the future, but going back to the past, let's this is the segment where we're gonna run back to 2001, and we'll talk about what updates were going on during that year, or this week 18 years ago. So the first thing is a few bug fixes. They fixed the problem with the wilderness, where low-level archers were able to attack high-level players in the wilderness without being attacked back. Hey, it's like we're dealing with the same thing today, aren't we?
Nice.
With the line of sight.
So parochial. They're so cyclical. Life really is just a flat circle, isn't it?
It seems that way. Fix the problem with new stat menus where the XP indicator didn't update properly. Bear in mind that we might need to tweak the wilderness a bit over the next few days if it proves to be unbalanced, although everything seems okay. We are also planning on adding a dueling system which will allow combat outside the wilderness if both players agree to it. Nice. Precursor to the dueling arena. They never knew what was going to hit them. Next, we have, due to a huge number of requests, the stats menu now shows you the exact number of experience points you have in each skill, and the number you need to reach to advance that level. For the more detailed information about a particular stat, just point your mouse over it, and the numbers will be shown at the bottom of the menu. Nice. It's a good change, because it's still useful today. The wilderness system is now online. The new wilderness area of Runescape is online. Wait a minute, did I read these in the wrong order? No, doesn't seem that way. Okay, maybe this is in the wrong order, but whatever. Hopefully you have a bit of event dyslexia, if that's a thing. This is a huge new area with an improved player combat system, which was first proposed a few months ago. A poll on the website at the time showed the vast majority of players in favor of the new system, so now we have it. In the improved system, player fighting is only allowed in the new wilderness area. The ability to switch between PK and non-PK will be removed, and instead you just go into this new area called the wilderness if you want to fight each other, or stay within the current map if you don't. The further you go into wilderness, the more danger it becomes, but the more treasure you find. How much of a risk you want to take is entirely up to you. Some previous screenshots of a couple wilderness locations are shown. Oh boy. There's a bug called the kill stealing bug that they fixed. It seems that in certain circumstances, the game was still not giving the treasure to the correct player. That has been fixed. And last, a bunch of small improvements. They fixed the kill stealing problem. The treasure now goes to whoever damaged the monster most overall than the player who got the last hit. God, that would have been a pain in the ass. XP is split proportionately between all people who helped kill the monster. Oh, that's interesting. You got the experience after you killed something. Weird.
Yeah.
Teleport spells no longer work once you reach level 20 wilderness. This makes the deep part of the wilderness much more dangerous, even for high levels. People who are green on your friends list also appear as green dots on the minimap, making it easier for you to find them in game and easier to go on adventures with. Your player's overall combat level is now shown in the stats menu, and two more item banks have been added to reduce the crowding problem. One is in East Varrock and the other is in Draenor. That's actually interesting. The reason they have two banks in Varrock is because there's too much crowding at the one bank, so they added two in Varrock.
That's pretty cool. And I assume that's why they have two in Falador and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. So we'll find out more there. Yeah, okay, cool stuff. I guess we'll run it over to our lore section then. For For the past couple of weeks, we've been discussing the stories behind the Theater of Blood and the creatures who live amongst it. Before we talk about the next creature, there's a few other things we must brush upon. If you've missed some of our earlier segments on the lore and history of RuneScape, we touched upon the different races who live on Gielinor. One of these races are the vampires, and as you may know, they are the main inhabitants of the Mauritania region. This wasn't always the case though. Before the Third Age and the God Wars, the Mauritania region was a kingdom to Saradomin, but as the God Wars broke out, Zamorak had recruited the vampires onto his side. From there, Zamorakian armies invaded Mauritania, and the kingdoms within began to collapse. As the Saradomin armies began to retreat out of Mauritania, the Temple Knights blessed the River Salve, creating a force field that would not allow the vampires to ever leave the region. Many Saradomin casualties had died before being able to cross the River Salve. One of the most notable are what are now the Barrow brothers, elite soldiers in the Saradomin army that perished during battle. With the vampires being stuck in Mauritania, the Draken family, which is the family that ruled over the area, began coming up with an elaborate system. Since vampires are required to feast on blood, they needed a constant rotation of humans that they could feast upon. So thus, the Draken family created a teeth system. Mainly centered around the ghettos of Mireditch, vampires would rotate around the city, collecting teeths off some of the civilians. Not only was the teeth system meant to keep the vampires fed, it was meant to keep the civilians within Mireditch and other Mauritania regions, to keep them weak enough from being able to escape. As time went on, vampires didn't want to continue to live through blood teeths. If the citizens of Mireditch had somehow fled one day, the vampires would be without blood, and this could be fatal and lead to the collapse of Mireditch and the other Mauritania kingdoms. So vampires began doing experiments, trying to figure out if there was a way to free themselves from the teeth system. This would be later categorized as Hail Melchemy. When broken down, it is the process that allows vampires to become independent of blood. It is the study of transmuting and modifying blood. And the study has a long list of different experiments that were carried out. This was often covered up by Lord Draken himself, as he feared this could cause big issues within the vampires and the citizens themselves if they had found out. Since Hail Melchemy consisted of many different experiments, it is what created the being we're going to talk about that sits in the Theater of Blood today. This monster started off as a regular dark beast. Dark beasts resemble some sort of rhinoceros, but many believe these dark beasts arrived from a different realm at some point in time, but nobody really knows. So Lord Draken brought in a dark beast to begin having experiments put on him. Because this monster was thought to have come from a different realm, they wanted to figure out if it could somehow travel back to its original realm. And with it, maybe they could advance some technology or learn through that process. Going back to an earlier episode of our lore segments, we talked about the different realms of RuneScape. Realms can be thought of as different worlds or different plane of existence. Gielinor itself is a realm, but the realm we're going to talk about today is the Shadow Realm. The Shadow Realm is a dimension that is almost a one-to-one dark reflection of Gielinor. It is thought to be a place of decay, death, and mystery. But what makes this realm so interesting, it is a mirrored reflection of Gielinor. So everything in Gielinor is also a part of the Shadow Realm. We are just unable to access it. So as the experiments began to take place on the Dark Beast, they noticed that it would begin to phase in and out of Gielinor. It started disappearing, leaving trace behind nothing but a shadow. When the Dark Beast would phase back into Gielinor, a voice occurred. And the first time this was heard, closer. The vampires knew that their experiments seemed to be a success, and with a little bit more work, they may be able to gain access to the Shadow Realm themselves. The next they heard from the voice, abandon deeper. The tortured experiments won. Trapped. Follow within the Shadow's voice. In the transcripts, the vampires seem to not be able to know exactly what this voice means, but they thought, with continued progress, the message they are looking for might arrive. The third entry of this voice says, who are you? Months have passed, and they seem to have made great progress with this creature. The creature seemed to be able to move into the Shadow Realm at will. It began to look stronger and more menacing. And what seemed to have happened is the Dark Beast and the Shadow Realm's version of the Dark Beast morphed together to create one creature that could freely transfer between the two realms at will. The Shadow's voice began referring to itself as Soteseg. Not only could this creature move freely into the Shadow Realm, they found it could also bring others into the Shadow Realm. Unfortunately, the vampires were never able to solve how they themselves could enter the Shadow Realm, but only through how Soteseg could choose someone and bring them with him. Because this could be a huge problem, that Soteseg could drag vampires and other beings with them into the Shadow Realm and holding them prisoner there forever, they decided the best suited place for this creature would be the Theater of Blood, and they would let other combatants face this creature. A few have made it to see Soteseg in battle, and rumors are, when dragged into the Shadow Realm, Soteseg, or the shadowed voice of Soteseg, repeats the following. Abandon the tortured experiment. Follow the trapped voice, Soteseg. Closer, Soteseg. Deeper within the shadows, Soteseg has won. All right, now that we're back, we'll do our quick little running over to the Grand Exchange, aka the little sell-it segment where we get to talk about what we got going on monetarily, I guess. First thing is Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/wild. Get a free month and a free audiobook. There's a bunch of crazy books out there. There's a lot of good work put into the audiobooks itself. Definitely, if it's something you're interested in, it's good to try it. And Audible seems to be such a decent company in the fact that, like, when I accidentally left my subscription reoccurring and didn't use any of it, they refunded me all of it, which was super cool. And I've also got I got a Kindle a few weeks ago for my birthday for my girlfriend. And nice. I just had a chance to bust it out now because I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to use it, but things pretty cool. If you have Amazon Prime, there's a bunch of free books you get with it, but there's also, they have some partnerships with Audible as well. So it's definitely worth looking into. audibletrial.com/wild. Free month, free audiobook. You can also support the show directly by going to patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. You help cover some of the expenses here and also allow us to do more fun and cool things. For example, actually, there's a little bit of a surprise, which doesn't matter too much, but I think it's pretty cool. It's coming up in like 2 weeks. But also for RuneFest, we have Zyras, who is going to be our on-the-scene correspondent. And I'm, between now and then, I should be able to take some of the funds from the Patreon and be able to get some equipment so he can get some actual interviews. He's actually even been reaching out to people, and you won't believe. Well, he sent a message to Mod Ash, and Mod Ash said, yeah, he'd love to talk, to have a quick little interview at RuneFest. Hell yeah! So Mod Ash himself, it's fucking crazy. We'll have to see once we get closer as well. He's also put a little poll blog thing that you can type in, like, you can send him who you'd want to hear from, and he would do his best to find that person.
Let's see. Definitely find Mod Jet if he's going to be at the next RuneFest sighting.
Yes.
Definitely got to revive that old joke.
That is a good call. God. And if he's not there, find Rotten. Let's figure out what happened. Anyways, our supporter of the week is going to be I have lost my place on the list. So we're going to shout out Charles Ratliff. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And I know you've been doing it for quite some time because I have recognized that name being the supporter of the week a few times now. So very much appreciate that. But yeah, that's the Wilderness Podcast, patreon.com. Fuck it.
It's all good. This has been a marathon, so
It is. This is quite the marathon episode. So let's wrap this puppy up. Wild CC, clan chat in game. Facebook is facebook.com/The Wilderness Podcast. Our Twitter's @The Wilderness RS. And emails thewilderness@gmail.com. This has been a long episode, and we do have to get to an email from 2 weeks ago that I forgot to mention it when we were reading the other ones, but I apologize. We'll get back to it next episode when I can only assume it'll be much shorter than this, since it was that PvP blog. They always get us.
Yeah. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to the Wilderness Podcast email. Again, my DMs are always open. I don't plug anything, but I do want to say, like, I got a couple DMs from people who are just like asking me a couple questions or just giving me some feedback, and I really appreciate it. I'm always happy whenever, like, I try to be as online as possible on Discord, so always feel free to send myself a DM. I don't want to speak on Dil's behalf. I was going to say myself or Dil's. Dil's, I don't know if you want to
do it as well.
That, but
I'll eventually get back. Sometimes it's not super punctual with it, but yeah. Oh yeah. Message as well. And yeah, as you heard with Magpie, he's heavy into the teaching of the raids. So it's definitely a good person to turn to if you have any questions with it.
Yeah. It's not just like raids, but I can also help with, like, I really enjoy helping people do Zora. That's something I've been doing a lot. I used to do that in my old CC and stuff, as well as just like general skilling. So hit me up if you're trying to do that Raids 3 Volcanic Mine.
Oh, hell yeah. It's a good call. And before we get out of here, if you guys want to watch me stream my Hardcore Iron Man PvP World only, that tends to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, those 4
Fridays,
days.
Saturdays, Sundays.
Yeah, minus the weekend ones because work. That's less consistent, but it's 7 to 10 p.m. EST. So you can check that fun stuff out. I almost died quite a bit. I'm surprised I haven't died yet, but
nice.
And our song of the week is a song that I stumbled across when I had to do rune crafting, the Mind Altar, and this song is fucking good. And it sucks because you only spend like 10 seconds in the Mind Altar, so you don't get to hear it pick up, but it's Miracle Dance. Composed by Ian Taylor, came out March 29th, 2004. So yeah. Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for listening. These episodes have been long. Magpie, you've come in at such a good, long episode time.
That's all, kid. It's more content for people.
It's been fun.
People who enjoy PvP as well. This is going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, it's lots of big ones coming out. So thanks for joining again. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll be back next week though.
Same time, same place. Not necessarily, but
yeah, that might be a lot. But who knows? We'll find out. Take care, everyone.
Have a good one.